But I said, if you gave me Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, or you gave me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield.
I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers, is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them. What? Oh my God! Whoa, man!
In any event, Kyle Gibson is definitely my NL Cy Young Award winner. Rock on, Gibson. And even
no way! Oh my God!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to an emergency episode of Sports Weekly. My name is Lauro Antonio, along with Ben Kearse and Isaiah Leong. Hope everybody had a great Christmas and then preparing to welcome 2023, which will happen on midnight on Saturday. And fellas, how are you guys doing?
Doing good. Yeah, I wasn't able to, unfortunately, join last night for the extra point, but I figured I'd join tonight and kind of maybe see if we can kind of talk about some stuff maybe from this past week. Of course, we are almost to the new year. I am almost on vacation, so I cannot wait for that. That would be much needed. I had a great Christmas weekend, holiday, whatever you want to call it. A couple of days of work this week before my vacation, so I guess you could say all is well, and I'm looking forward to our show tonight.
And Isaiah, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Doing great. I know we were supposed to be on holiday break, but, we had to interrupt your daily programming to bring you this emergency episode of Sports Weekly because we just have way too much to talk about. I mean, who expected Derek Carr to be benched for the final couple of games of the season? That sets up another quarterback opening in the NFL. Who expected the whole thing that's going on that could possibly happen with Robert Saleh and the Jets. I mean, there's just so much going on right now. Plus, you have basketball going on. Devin Booker is out for the next 4 weeks. And there's just a lot of things to talk about. So I can't wait. And I cannot wait to, get into why it's that guy's in square number 2's fault that the Raiders are having their misfortunes right now.
And look, it's Stephen Wang joining us tonight. And Stephen, how you doing? Can we hear you, Stephen?
He said, I don't think he said he can't hear us.
Yeah, I think he's having technical difficulties.
Yeah, we'll move ahead here. But anyways, we'll have to talk about the news right now with Derek Carr. So following a dismal 3-interception performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Christmas Eve, Raiders head coach Josh McDaniels announced on Tuesday morning that the Raiders are benching their longtime franchise quarterback in Derek Carr for the remainder of the season and will instead start Jarrett Stidham versus the 49ers on New Year's Day and versus the Chiefs on January 8th. In addition, Derek Carr and the Raiders agreed that he would step away from the team to avoid the obvious distractions. So Carr won't practice and will be listed as not injury related. My thoughts on this: look, the Raiders are still technically, mathematically alive for the playoffs. That's my thought here. And why would you bench him if you still have an opportunity to make the playoffs? That makes no sense whatsoever to me. And Josh McDaniels is like, are you throwing the season away to just see what Jarrett Stidham could do? That's just confusing to me. That's just a bonehead move by Josh McDaniels. I love you, Josh, but this is just a gut-wrenching move, and that is going to get fans very, very upset. Isaiah? Or I'm going to go with Steven here. Steven, if you can hear us, how are you doing? First of all, Steven, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you, my friend. And also, what was your reaction with the Raiders benching Derek Carr, and where do you believe that this leaves Derek Carr and the Raiders moving forward?
Well, happy holidays to you guys. And I just wanted to shout out that after my graduation, I did take a trip to Vegas. And you know what? I was so inspired by the lights there. I was so inspired by the Vegas lateral there against your Patriots, Ben. I'm sorry. And I realized, I am an East Bay kid. After I grew up in Minnesota, the past 11 and a half years, I've been spending my time in the East Bay, my permanent residence in Fremont, California. And I just had to pick up this amazing Raiders hat here from Lids. There's some great holiday discounts going around. And, with like the whole Raiders here, more design there, Raiders on the side. And then over here, you got the welcome to Las Vegas over here. And the AFC, just so pretty, so pretty. Just like that lateral play, very pretty. And I know that they're probably not going to make the playoffs. And I know that it's probably all over for this team. But I'm actually down to pick up this Raiders team that is just never say quit, never say die as my second team in the NFL. So that's what I went ahead and did. To me, in many ways, they're still the Oakland Raiders, but I respect the city of Las Vegas. I hope to return in April of next year. And I also really love the logo that they got here. I love the do or die mentality that they have in Vegas. Everything is good about the team. So I'm going to be rooting them on against Isaiah's Niners. And I'll just say this, man. Every team in the NFL can play. Every team in the NFL has stars. Don't be shocked if the Raiders pull off the impossible and beat Isaiah's Niners out of not only the 1 seed, but likely the 2 seed this weekend when the Niners travel to Las Vegas. Now, the long-term outlook for the Raiders is simple. Derek Carr has always been flirting with being booted off the Raiders as the franchise guy. And I think he's being incorrectly scapegoated in this situation. I think one of two things is probably happening. The first read on this is that Derek Carr is kind of your baseline standard for a franchise quarterback in the NFL. I think him and Kirk Cousins have always been kind of tied together in that, like, they're not going to win you the game necessarily, but they're not going to lose it for you either. They're that baseline level of a franchise quarterback. Now, Cousins has elevated himself and separated himself from guys like Derek Carr and Kyler Murray this year. But for much of the past few years in the NFL and NFL history, guys like Carr are kind of what you look for in a baseline franchise quarterback. Like, okay, this guy, if everything goes right, he can win the AFC for you. He can win the division, or he can win the Super Bowl for you. Unfortunately, Vegas and Oakland are two places that, frankly, not a lot has gone right, let alone everything going right. And so I think the first read on this could be that the Raiders are scapegoating Carr. They're looking at Carr like, okay, you're barely enough to be a franchise guy, but that's not going to cut it for us and the problems that we need to fix. So long term, we're looking to move on from you. We're looking to see what we got in Stidham. We're looking to see what we got in our other skill positions behind guys like Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. Another read on this could be that, guys, I know they're not mathematically eliminated. Like if the meteorites fall today, and the Raiders score on an onside kick, a touchdown, and then the Raiders win out, and the Dolphins do this and that, and, the cows come home, they might be able to sneak into the playoffs. But realistically, they are 95 to 98% eliminated. And so I think the situation could be that they're just resting Carr for what could be a tumultuous season next year or a very prosperous season next year. When I look at this Raiders team, guys, I look at a team that's at a crossroads, just like the Mike Zimmer Vikings last year. They've been in a lot of one-possession games. They clearly have the offensive and defensive talent to compete in the NFL. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the league and wouldn't be in all these one-possession games. And if they can just turn around some of these one-possession games, they could be the Vikings of this year. They could be that next surprise team that turns around one-possession games and has a great season next year. Or maybe they could be like the Baker Mayfield Browns that won a playoff game. You just never know. The sky's the ceiling for this team. And it looks like they're either going to try to rebuild or they're just trying to rest their starters. I think either approach, you can't necessarily fault the franchise for it. I think there's good reason for both, and you can't necessarily overreact to it. I just think there's justification on both ends in terms of playing him or resting him.
And Isaiah, what was your take on Josh McDaniels benching Derek Carr? Does this tell you that the Raiders are pretty much done with Derek Carr?
Well, first of all, let me just say this before I get into my point about this Derek Carr benching. Steven's got his Raiders hat. I can't wait for the game on
Raider
Sunday.
up.
I am going to be wearing this jersey to remember the guy that last beat the Raiders in his first
He's not
start.
on the Niners or the Raiders, so joke's on you.
Oh, it's going to be deja vu all over again. Instead of Nick Mullins, it'll be another third stringer and Brock Purdy. But about this Derek
Hey,
Carr
Isaiah,
benching.
remind me, what team is Mullins on now?
Yeah, he's on your Vikings, and I cannot wait for him to start
I would
against
not
the
mind
Niners.
him having a Nick Foles run. Maybe Kirk Cousins, Carson Wentz's, and sets up the #1 seed on the season, and then Nick Mullins comes in and
Oh my
completes your
God.
miracle Super Bowl run. Hey, that would be some must-see TV for everybody.
See, man,
in
this
this
is a
stream.
type of nonsense that I got to deal with on a consistent basis. But about this Carr benching, I agree with Steven. Derek Carr is getting scapegoated by Josh McDaniels. If you look at Derek Carr's stats, it's not bad. I mean, he threw 21 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He had 3 picks against Pittsburgh, and also a throw that was probably the worst throw he's made all season, in which he had a wide open Hunter Renfrow going straight down the middle to the left, and he badly misses him, overthrows him, and it's picked off to end the game. But if you look at before this game, sure, Carr wasn't putting up the godly numbers that Mahomes, Josh Allen, and others are putting up, but he's actually been decent. He hasn't been like awful. He's been decent as a quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. He's thrown 21 touchdowns, 9 interceptions before the 3 interception game. I would say that's pretty good. Like, it's not all that worldly, but it's not the worst numbers in the world. Like, this guy, he's thrown 3,270 yards. He's completing 58% of his passes. I know the numbers don't look great, but that's not who Derek Carr is. He's not a great quarterback. He's like your average quarterback. And I don't know why Josh McDaniels is doing this. I kind of had an inkling that he was going to do it yesterday when he said at his press conference, when a reporter asked him, are you going to bench Derek Carr for the final 2 games of the season? And he said that he wasn't going to root that out. And normally when the coach says that they're not going to rule that out, that means that, yeah, that guy is being benched. You know, there's been so many instances where a coach is being asked, like, is the guy going to get benched or is he going to start? And he says, like, I don't know. Or he says, we're not going to rule that out. It typically means that guy is going to be benched. So I kind of had an inkling it was coming. I thought that Carr never really fit Josh McDaniels' offense. You know, I think that Carr is a guy that loves to be in a system like John Gruden's where they run the football heavily, they throw short passes, and McDaniels is a totally different offense. And, you know, it takes time to get used to Josh McDaniels' offense like it does when you are working in Kyle Shanahan's offense. So I am surprised he got benched. I kind of knew it was coming, but Derek Carr was scapegoated by the Las Vegas Raiders today, and it's an end of an era for Derek Carr. There's no way that Derek Carr is going to come back to the Las Vegas Raiders after the season. Derek Carr is as good as gone as the Minnesota Vikings winning the Super Bowl this season. And let me also say this. Let me also say this, make this loud and clear right now. You know whose fault is it that Derek Carr got benched and all this misfortune happened to the Raiders today with Chandler Jones being put on IR and Denzel Perriman, their top tackler, being put on IR? It's that guy in square number 2. Because he opened his mouth saying, oh, the Raiders are going to crush the Niners, and the Raiders are going to just
It still
whoop the
could
Niners.
happen, Isaiah.
Literally,
The Niners are going to get more complacent about this crap game.
24 hours after that dude in square 2 opened his mouth, Derek Carr gets benched, Chandler Jones is done for the year, and Denzel Perriman is out for the season as well. So, Steven, Thank you so much for opening your mouth. I really appreciate you for gifting the Niners a W to open the new year.
Hey, Raiders gonna Raider, man, Raider up. I got the Niners probably winning this game and covering the 9.5 or 10 point spread. Probably be something like 35-10. But this is the NFL, man. Anything can happen. And all I can say to this, Ben, Isaiah, I always bring up the cocky gods. The cocky gods got to me finally. I said that the Raiders were going to come in to their home field. They're going to upset the Niners after an emotional loss. They had everything to kind of prove. Now with Jarrett Stidham starting and a couple of guys out, I don't see that happening. But on the other hand, if the Niners play this game scared, if they don't come in with their A game and they don't come in to score 30-plus points, I think the Raiders could win in a low-scoring affair. Generally, these kind of fresh teams that play their backups who have a lot to prove and have contracts to earn, they tend to toughen up those low-scoring games and make a game out of it. But I'll let Ben give his take next on Derek Carr and the somewhat crumbling Las Vegas Raiders at this point.
Actually, before Ben goes, I do want to add something, and it's about Josh McDaniels. This is the second head coaching job that Josh McDaniels has gotten. This is the second time that he's gone into that head coaching job and gotten rid of that team's quarterback, that team's franchise quarterback. He did it in Denver with Jay Cutler, and now he's doing it again with Derek Carr. Last time he got rid of Jay Cutler, you know who he opted for to be his franchise quarterback? One Tim Tebow. He better get this right. Because if Josh McDaniels, this is the biggest decision of Josh McDaniels' career and Josh McDaniels' life. Because if he doesn't get this franchise quarterback right, whomever they get, whether it's Tom Brady or CJ Stroud or anybody in the draft, if he doesn't get it right and it turns out to be another Tim Tebow decision, Josh McDaniels, I guarantee you, will never be a head coach in the NFL, and he will be done with the Raiders in a couple of seasons.
Oh, yeah. Real quick before Ben goes, and Ben, this might pain you to hear, or maybe it won't because of the game and the recent outcome of the game. But Loro, Ben, Isaiah, I think the Raiders have to cut ties with Josh McDaniels if they have another 8-9 or worse season next year. And I think the guy they need to go after is Ryan Day. They need to go after an innovative offensive mind who is going to put their arms around a young or veteran quarterback and enable them to succeed. Ryan Day is that guy. You look at Kevin O'Connell, everything about that Vikings team, from even the suspect defense to the spotty special teams play that sometimes it's home run, sometimes it's struggling, to the innovative offense, to the high risks of like fake punting it and going for it on fourth down and all of these different trick plays. I feel like Ryan Day and Kevin O'Connell are the exact same type of guy. And that's the type of guy that you want to succeed in the NFL and that really can succeed in the NFL. That kind of gadget guy, kind of coach that can really embrace and put their arms around a veteran or young quarterback like a Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, or even a Stidham. So I think Ryan Day is the perfect hire for the Raiders should they have another 8-9 or worse season next season in 2023.
Ben, you can go ahead and take your take here before we go to our musical chairs game.
Yeah, well, I think pretty much you guys described it all perfectly. I'm not surprised, but I'm also surprised at the same time. Derek Carr was a guy that, of course, had a really good run with the Raiders. But there's been rumblings in like the past couple of seasons that there could be potential cut ties. And I think he has a hit coming up with this contract where, after this season, they only have a couple of days to see if they want to move on from him or not. And I think McDaniels kind of saw this as an opportunity where the backup Jarrett Stidham, he knows from the New England days. You can kind of coach him up, kind of see what you have. But Derek Carr from 2018 to now, I was looking at his overall record-wise. He was mostly in third or fourth place outside of last season. And most of the coaching staff with him was with John Gruden, and then last year, Rich Bisaccia, who was with him in the second half. So the coaching kind of was a little bit of a scapegoated. But I agree with Steven. I think I don't know if you guys will agree with me, but I think Derek Carr has a lot of Phillip Rivers in him, where he's not going to go over the top winning you a big game, but he's not going to
Mhm.
lose it big time. He's going to have some clutch moments here and there at times you're like, man, if you feel like the guy could put it all together, but then there'll be times where like, man, what the hell is this person doing out there on the field? He'll have that consistent blunder out there where it can kind of hold him back from becoming somebody better than he's not. He's a good quarterback. I'll basically describe him as a very good kind of. He's not the elite of like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, but he's not in like the Sam Darnold bat like really more of that tier list. So I mean, I know we'll go through the musical chairs lower, but I think Derek Carr is good as gone. But I also think that Devontae Adams. This is one of my spicy takes. I'll wait till that happens, but Devontae Adams will be also part of my takes of his future as well with the Derek Carr news as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you talk about Derek Carr and Devontae Adams playing together at Fresno State, and don't be shocked if they get packaged in a deal together. But next up, folks, we got the QB musical chairs game. Our way too early predictions for where each potential QB on the free agent market will land, and I think we're going to be in for a crazy offseason coming up. First up, we got Derek Carr, and I'm going to go first here where I think he lands. I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints because you talk about the connection that he had with Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen was his first head coach in the NFL. And I think that if you bring Derek Carr to New Orleans and then the Saints make another trade to get Devontae Adams here, then I think the Saints are back to being good again. But I don't know what's going to take to get Devontae Adams to play with Derek Carr. But I do think Derek Carr would be great in New Orleans. So I'm predicting Derek Carr to the Saints here. What about you, Isaiah?
I think he stays in the West. And this is probably going to be a bold take. I think he goes to Seattle because the Seattle Seahawks are probably going to move on from Geno Smith. Geno Smith was great the first 10 weeks of the season, but he's fallen off and looked like the Geno Smith of old that we know of Geno Smith. And the Seattle Seahawks have completely fallen off. They have a defense that's decent. They have DK Metcalf there. They have Tyler Lockett. Their offensive line has gotten considerably better this season. And I think Seattle right now, they have a lot of draft picks. So I think they can pick up a rookie quarterback, and have him sit on the bench, let him develop while having Derek Carr as like that veteran/bridge quarterback that can be the quarterback for 1 or 2 seasons, help you win now. And then when you are actually ready to, win the Super Bowl, then you can move on to that rookie quarterback, kind of like what the Chiefs did with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. So I got him going to Seattle.
Yeah, so again, I have him going to New Orleans because of Dennis Allen. Isaiah has him going to Seattle and pairing with Pete Carroll. Ben, where do you have Derek Carr going to?
I've pretty much said this landing spot for a while now. I have him going to the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts need to find a actual quarterback. And I'm not saying that Derek Carr is going to be their long-term answer. I think personally, the Colts, at least the last couple of seasons, have gone through guys like Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, kind of just stop fill gap type of quarterbacks. I think Derek Carr would just be a great fit there. You go to the division where you kind of look at on paper the AFC South. You have Ryan Tannehill, you have Trevor Lawrence, Davis Mills. You look at the AFC West, he's had a lot more competition really for quarterbacks in that division. I think you go to a place where the Colts usually have a very good offensive line. That could help out Derek Carr a lot. They would have a good receiver, Michael Pittman, maybe a couple of guys as well that maybe help him out. And he loves working with tight ends as well, Derek Carr in the offense. So I would really like that move a lot for the Colts to get a guy like Derek Carr. He wouldn't be in a huge market either, and I think that it would just be a good fit there.
What about you, Steven? Where do you have Derek Carr going to?
First of all, Ben, I love the pick of the Colts, man. It really feels like it's been a QB carousel over there. My fellow, MI6 member and friend Furman Lee has always compared Derek Carr to Andrew Luck, a guy who hasn't had all the resources, hasn't had all of the luck, no pun intended, in terms of being able to compete for a title or go far into the playoffs, but he's always had that talent. and it's just about unlocking it, right place, right time, and not running into a super powerhouse team that was the Tom Brady Patriots back then. So the Colts would be a really good landing spot. And man, talk about more jobs possibly opening for a guy like Ryan Day. As much as it pains for me to say it as a Buckeye fan, I really think it is one of the more perfect times to get Ryan Day within these next 2 years if you're an NFL team. Where I have Derek Carr landing is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because I think if Tom Brady cannot make a deep playoff run this coming playoffs, which is going to start in January of next year, I think he's going to be on his way out of the NFL. I think he's going to kind of realize that that's the curtain call. And a guy like Derek Carr would fit in terms of that offense. And, you know, being from Fresno, California, there's no better landing spot than Tampa Bay, where you got the beach over there. You still got a hot climate and everything, indoor stadium and all. I think it's just a very attractive area for rich people to go to, quite frankly, for lack of a better way to put it. So I think in Tampa Bay, he's going to have targets to kind of thrive and to produce on. And it's going to be challenging for him at first. It was challenging for Kirk Cousins when O'Connell came in and made him less of a check down quarterback, take more deep shots. I think that's what it's going to really take for Derek Carr to succeed in the long term. There's going to have to be growing pains. There's going to have to be a coach out there who says, hey, you know, it's 2nd and 14. Why don't we try to throw the ball down the field past the sticks? Or it's 3rd and 14. Why don't we take a bomb here? I think a place like Tampa Bay with Todd Bowles and that coaching staff is really going to challenge him and stretch him to be a better quarterback down the stretch, along with having better resources.
All right, guys. I tell you, Steven, here, I wouldn't rule out Derek Carr at the Tampa Bay Bucks, but I kind of think the Bucks are going to go young at quarterback next year. And I really think they got to give a shot at Kyle Trask, who I really think is learning under Tom Brady. And Isaiah making that face. Not quite sure about Kyle Trask, but Kyle Trask is a guy that I think should be the starting quarterback for the Bucs next season.
That's fair.
That's what I think, because you have the weapons and all that, but we'll save that topic for another day. Now we go to my man, TB12, Tom Brady. He's currently 45 years old. He will be 46 next football season, assuming he plays. If I had to choose where he plays, I'm not ruling it out. Probably the 49ers, because the reason why I say the 49ers, he could work with George Kittle, Debo, Ayuk. But if it's the Raiders, he could reunite with Josh McDaniels. I wouldn't mind that at all. But with that being said, guys, Tom Brady is going to retire. I think he calls it a career, and then he goes to Fox as a color analyst, and I think he starts that job next year. That's my opinion. What about you, Ben? Where do you think Tom Brady goes? I have him being retired.
Well, speaking of the GOAT, Steven, you're probably aware, everybody is aware, but I'm going to say on here on the platform anyway that I'm going down on vacation. And of course, when I'm down on vacation, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are home, which means that the GOAT is playing, which it'll be my first time to see the GOAT out of my whole entire childhood, not in a Patriot uniform. So if I'm emotional when I'm at the game Sunday, it's not just because of me. It'll be because of, man, I get to see the GOAT play again, potentially for his final time. And I just think down in Tampa Bay, it'll be, and also the game's gonna be a lot bigger now than what I thought it would be with the implications. So I want to just put that out there. I'm really excited to go. In terms of the specifics on Brady for the future, Laura, I mean, I wouldn't rule out retirement, but I think he's not done yet. And I don't think it's because his play's not done. I think that he doesn't want to finish off the season the way that he's going to finish like last season. I think that he's going to take it year by year. And I think personally, I have a couple of teams right now, shooters. I'm basically going to go with the Patriots as the least likely, Laura, because I know you don't think it's going to happen. But I have the Patriots on there. But I think it's going to be, for me, the Vegas Raiders, the 49ers, Miami, or the Saints. Those are really kind of my key teams.
Because he would have to play the Patriots twice, so I don't want him in Miami.
Well, I'll tell you the reason.
I want him to stay in the NFC.
many reasons why. So Vegas, of course, I think with the connection with Dana White, he's a really good close friendship with Dana White. I think just the casino life there. I wouldn't be shocked if he maybe put a call in for Rob Gronkowski to go to Vegas. I think that'd be perfect for him, and I also think that also entice a guy like Devonta Adams to stay in Vegas as well. I think that Josh McDaniels there too for potentially his final year. You get the GOAT back, you know how they could work together. So I have that one. The 49ers, they're already championship level type team right now. They have all the weapons there offensively, McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk. Tom Brady at this point in time, he doesn't want to go. If he's going to go to a new offense, he wants to go to a born ready type championship level type team, just like he was going for Tampa Bay. I think with really the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I would roll him out coming back, but I think that really he needs new coaching. I think that the coaching this year has really held him back. Byron Leftwich, I think, has a decent relationship with, but I think that Bruce Arians really did a good job of him kind of letting the deep ball out this year. In the last couple of years when he won the Super Bowl, and the whole thing this year just hasn't been working right now for Tom. And then the Saints and Miami, two places where I think that him and Sean Payton might have a reconnection potentially because him and Sean Payton talked this offseason. I think those are more least likely out of anything. I'd probably go with Vegas, the Niners, and Tampa Bay as my three top teams. And then, of course, the reuniting with the Patriots, of course, is basically slim down. Of course, so you're telling me there's a chance. I don't think it's going to happen. As much as I love it, I think he's more likely than not going to sign that one-day contract. But I'd say retirement, Miami, Tampa Bay, 49ers, or Vegas.
I'm going to rule out Miami respectfully. So, I'm going to pick Tom Brady to go back to San Francisco and play for his hometown Niners because I think he would be in a great situation with Kyle. But you know what? I'm going to keep it as my stance is that he retires because he looks lost, and I think he would want to hang it up and go back with Fox and start his broadcasting gig on Fox. That's where I stand with Tom Brady. What about you, Isaiah? You said you're going to shock us here.
Oh,
this is going to be the biggest shock in Sports Weekly's show history. Like this is going to be the biggest shock. This is not just the quarterback; it's the head coach as well. So, Ben, I agree with most of your points about the Raiders. It makes sense with the connection with Josh McDaniels. That makes a lot of sense. The 49ers, that makes sense. I would have said, 3-4 weeks ago, if you had asked me, who would be the Niners quarterback next year, I would probably have told you Tom Brady. But I think with the emergence of Brock Purdy, with him just gelling with his teammates, and the fact that he just exemplifies the Kyle Shanahan type quarterback. And if Brock Purdy's, let's face it, this would probably sounded delusional 4 or 5 weeks ago, but now it's not delusional anymore. And that is Brock Purdy can win the Super Bowl with the San Francisco 49ers. It is a thing that
never say never.
Yeah, exactly. Never say never. It's something that could definitely happen this year because of how stacked the 49ers are. So I think if Purdy leads you to the NFC Championship or he leads you to the Super Bowl, even if he doesn't win it, I don't think you can take that job away from him because let's say you bring Brady in, right? And Purdy just led you to the Super Bowl or he led you to the NFC Championship. There's going to be so much pressure on the guy replacing Purdy. Any bad throw, any interception, Niners Twitter and the Niners fan base are going to be like, bring in Purdy. We want Purdy because Purdy's the golden boy right now. So I think the Niners stick with Brock Purdy. So for me, when it comes to where Tom Brady will go, get ready to leave the set, y'all. I got Tom Brady giving Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft a big middle finger and joining the New York Jets. I got him going to the New York Jets and going to Gang Green, and that's not even the biggest of my predictions. I got the New York Jets firing Robert Saleh because Woody Johnson is so damn impatient, and I got him going to get Sean Payton, and Sean Payton and Tom Brady will be a package duo in Game 3. When you look at the New York Jets, they have all the pieces on defense. They have a stacked defense. Their running game is really legit. All they need is a veteran quarterback. They have the pieces on offense. And Woody Johnson, I mean, there was a report today, we'll talk about it later on, that he doesn't get along with Robert Saleh, that there may be sweeping changes coming after the season. And, he's a guy that he's like Jim Irsay. He's like, he's like Stephen Ross in a way. He's like Dan Schneider and Mark Davis in terms of they want to swing for the fences every time they get. So Sean Payton is available right now. And I think that, that's going to be the shocking firing that we'll see, is that unfortunately my guy Robert Saleh will get let go. And I see Sean Payton and Tom Brady joining Gang Green.
Ooh, you see,
what a
I
call,
don't think it's as cool
as
what you think, to be honest. Because I've heard some Boston Sport radio. I heard one radio analysis say about like Brady's, and he said about the Jets because like his like kids or whatever from like the New York, like he has like a lot of family and area from that area. So like, I thought it would be like as much crazy as it sounded. I mean, I would absolutely be broken more than for sure about that. But yeah, no, I wouldn't roll that out at all. But I would hate it. So.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen by all means. I would hate to see Tom Brady and Gang Green because I don't like the Jets as a Patriots fan. I want them to start with a young quarterback or something like that. But Steven, where do you have Tom Brady going? I have him retiring.
So for me, I got Brady heading to one of these R words. I think it's either going to be retirement or the Raiders. Retirement seems like the obvious choice because, he's given it another year. It's cost him his marriage. We don't know the full details. Maybe his marriage was already headed down the drain, whatever decision he made, because down the line there'd be more issues that would come across. So I think if he can't make a deep playoff run this season, then there's no reason for him to really stay in the NFL. Like if he wins the Super Bowl, he would probably stay on the Bucs. Which probably ain't going to happen. That's really, really long shot. And then if he anything short of that, I think he would head towards retirement. Now, I think the Raiders got an outside shot because the Raiders have the receiving weapons. They have the venue in terms of the media. They have the venue in terms of a place that someone of Tom Brady's stature and caliber would want to be. It just seems like a very fun city there. He's heading towards that more retirement, playing for fun age. He's accumulated enough life savings to be playing for fun for years and years now. And he's really getting to that stage where he's got nothing to prove in terms of his legacy. Now it's about trying to work with younger talent and seeing what he can do for, franchise that really, really wants him and needs him. Now, I really feel bad for Loro in this segment because, man, Ben and Isaiah laid the hammer down with all these AFC East teams that he could be joining. And I'm not going to be taking some hot.
I actually walked off the set when Isaiah said about Tom Brady going to the Jets, and I'm like, oh my God, no.
Well, he warned you. He at least warned us. Like
I did.
So I will give him respect for that.
So anyway, I'm not going to say anything outlandish. I don't think the Bills or the Patriots are in play, so we can skip those AFC East teams. I think it largely depends on three factors.
Detroit.
How far do the Niners make it in the playoffs? How far does Brady make it in the playoffs? And then what other QB needs are filled? Like, do the Jets go out and get Derek Carr? Do the Bucs go out and get Carr? Like, there's all of these other variables that are happening in the free agent market. We have to remember that there's like another whole 6 quarterbacks to cover on this list that could be in either the trade market or the free agent market. It's not just all about Tom Brady, although sometimes it may seem that way. But I got either the Raiders or retirement because I think, frankly, like Isaiah said, when it comes to this Niners team, it's not necessarily about the quarterback or the lack of the quarterback, really. The team is so stacked that they could win a Super Bowl if everything falls into place with just about any serviceable starter in the league. Who knows? They could end up winning it with Lance. Maybe they fall short this year and they win it next year with Lance. Maybe they fall short this year with Purdy and they give Jimmy G another shot. Maybe they win it with Jimmy G this year or Purdy this year. There's so much that could go on with San Fran that doesn't require Tom Brady. And plus, he doesn't fit their system. He's not a QB rollout kind of guy. He can't really elude pressure and scramble for yardage the same way that even Jimmy G or Brock Purdy can. So I just don't think that it's a fit in San Francisco. I think it's Raiders or retirement. So that's my
I
pick.
agree, Steven, 100%. It's for me, it's Raiders or retirement for Tom Brady. But next up, we go to Zach Wilson. Based on what Robert Saleh said, he said that I don't believe he's done in the Big Apple and that you have not seen the last of him. My prediction is that Zach Wilson will remain a New York Jet. And people will rip on me for this, but I do think he deserves a third. I think he deserves a third shot at it because I think for a rookie quarterback going through a third year, Zach Wilson. I mean, look, he was hurt to begin the season. I get it. He had knee issues, and then he got benched again. Mike White. This is kind of the. It was kind of like. It was kind of like it has been a difficult second season for Zach Wilson, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was done in gangrene. What about you, Ben? Where do you think Zach Wilson ends? I have him staying with New York.
So this is kind of an interesting one because I think that the Jets and Saleh really like Wilson, but I think their long-term future, I think they like what they have built more by what they do with Mike White. I don't see him leaving, but I wouldn't be shocked if he left either. I think two places that could be interesting for Zach Wilson, because it might be just this change of scenery, and it might be just, as they say in New York sometimes just too big for the spotlight for some guys. And I think, Zach Wilson, two places where I think that you wouldn't have to really go crazy with the spotlight are two team needy type quarterback places. The Houston Texans and the Seattle Seahawks. I think that Seattle Seahawks could be a team where they're kind of more on the younger side. They're trying to start, stacking up and have a little bit of talent kind of around. And I think that the Texans going to be also a place where, he can maybe be in competition with the drafted quarterback. I think that Zach Wilson is a guy where I think he needs to be able to regain his trust by having a quarterback competition. And I think as of right now with the Jets, I think that Mike White right now has more of the edge to become the starter, kind of the way that I've been seeing, at least from this year, that, if he stays with the Jets, so be it. He might be more in a backup type role. But if he wants to go kind of another place, maybe he has more of a chance to start. It kind of reminds me, I don't know, this might be a little bit more like kind of on a side note, but like a Baker Mayfield as of right now, because Baker Mayfield coming into the draft, had so much promise. Then he kind of went through between injuries and stuff like that, and he never kind of got himself kind of back on track with his overall career. I think with Baker Mayfield, he just has to be able to find like the right spot, and sometimes it's just not, kind of depending on what the quarterback situations are. I think really Zach Wilson's be in that group where he's going to probably be just mixed in and having quarterback competitions and trying to get his regained trust back. So, I think as of right now, I think he's going to stay with the Jets, and then at two places somehow want to move on from him. If Zach Wilson wants to move on, I'd say the Texans and Seattle.
I wouldn't rule out Carolina either. I mean, they need a quarterback badly. Isaiah, I know you got another crazy take here. Where do you think Zach Wilson goes to?
I think he's done as a Jet because I believe he's lost the locker room. And when you lose the locker room, it is extremely, extremely tough to get respect back. Once you lose it, you're basically done in that city. And I don't think he's not only just lost the locker room, but I think he's lost ownership as well. I think that Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets, who was an ambassador in Britain for the United States, who came back after the Trump presidency ended, Zach Wilson wasn't his choice. Zach Wilson was his brother Christopher Johnson's choice, and we know Woody Johnson. He loves to swing big, and he wants to get a big time quarterback as well as a big time head coach. So that's why I just think that he's done. Plus the fan base, all of the people in the fan base hates him now, and the fan base doesn't like him. So when the fan base, the ownership, the locker room, they're done with you. You basically should just start packing your bags and head to your next destination. And this is a surprise. This is going to probably come as a surprise to you guys. I got Zach Wilson being traded to the 49ers for a 6th round pick. I think that this is a guy that is a low risk, potentially high reward type of guy. I think that, he goes to San Francisco as a backup, learns under Kyle Shanahan. Remember, Kyle Shanahan really loved Zach Wilson out of the draft. There were reports that they met with him like 3-4 times. They traded up thinking that, to have a shot at Wilson or one of those quarterbacks, but Zach was up there in Kyle's favor as one of the top quarterbacks that he likes. So I think that he still likes Zach Wilson. I don't think the 2 bad years in New York has really diminished that fact. I think he really likes Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson being a backup, getting to learn from Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, whomever it is, I think would really benefit him. And, having the Niners weapons would really benefit him. And also, if you're the 49ers, how many quarterbacks have you seen get hurt? You've had Jimmy G, you had Nick Mullins get hurt at one point. You had C.J. Beathard get hurt. You've had Trey Lance get hurt, be done for the season. Like, it's never a bad thing to have many, many good quarterbacks around, with all the injuries that you've had going around. So with the fact that, you would probably only trade like a 6th or 7th round pick for him, a guy that, Zach Wilson, who has talent. It's not like he doesn't have talent. And the Niners, knowing that, they've had so many quarterbacks hurt, I just think that it's a really great fit for him to come to San Francisco, learn, get better, develop under Kyle Shanahan, and then be the backup. And if his name is called, if someone goes down, then he can just step in. But if not, then you can still have a boatload of good quarterbacks that can be ready on any given basis.
And what about you, Steven? Where do you have Zach Wilson going to? Or you have him staying with the New York Jets?
I've got him staying with the Jets. I understand that he hasn't had the most illustrious career in New York and that there are many better options available to the Jets. But even if they were to be able to land a guy like Tom Brady or even Derek Carr, I think you need someone who knows that offense, who's able to win on that team to back up whatever quarterback comes in, because in the NFL, it comes at you fast. A guy like Stafford or a guy like Jimmy G is always susceptible to be getting hurt. Just because you have a one answer at starting quarterback doesn't mean that that's your long-term answer for the season. Anything can happen in this league that's full of contact and everything. So I got him staying with the Jets. And, as much as we all hate on Zach Wilson, as much as we talk about him not putting up numbers and losing the locker room and all of that, one thing we got to understand is that Zach Wilson on the Jets has been, about an average to winning quarterback when it comes to getting wins on the team. Now, I'm not talking about necessarily dragging your team to playoff contention or championship contention or anything, but Zach Wilson's record, if I'm not mistaken, on the Jets is 5-3 or 5-4. He's been a winning quarterback on the Jets. So I just don't think that he's a quarterback that people would move on from that quickly. Just period from the team. He could still be a serviceable backup.
Anyways, here now, we go to Jimmy G now. So where I think Jimmy Garoppolo goes, I still want him to be a starter for a team, but hey, I have him going to Seattle. The reason why, because I think he would flourish with Pete Carroll, and I think he would flourish with Lockett and Metcalf. But I'm going to make an announcement here before I go to Isaiah on this, that on the Extra Point on Tuesday, we are going to play the coaching carousel game on the Extra Point on Tuesday. I can't wait for that, Isaiah. You better be on that because Black Monday. We won't have a show on Black Monday because of the college football playoff national championship game, but the coaching carousel game will happen on the Extra Point the day after the college football playoff national championship game, where all of us will predict who will be the new head coach with these vacant teams.
And I can't wait, man. I can't wait because you better believe I'm gonna have some bold predictions for y'all on that show. But in terms of Jimmy G, I mean, I already have the Jets getting Brady, so that would take them out. I already have the Seahawks getting Carr, so that would take them out. I got Jimmy G going to the Raiders, pairing with Josh McDaniels. McDaniels knows that he needs to win in Las Vegas next season or he probably is out of a job. So why not get a guy that you're familiar with and you spent 5 seasons with in Jimmy Garoppolo? I think it just makes a lot of sense. Jimmy G knows McDaniels' playbook inside and out. So it just makes too much sense for this not to happen. I think Brady to the Raiders and Garoppolo to the Raiders is the two that makes the most sense for Josh McDaniels, considering the fact that he has to win next season. I don't think that a rookie coming in would make a lot of sense just because what if the rookie struggles like Trevor Lawrence did in his rookie year and then Josh McDaniels is basically gone after that season. So McDaniels has to get a veteran quarterback. Garoppolo makes too much sense for it not to happen. I'm going to go Jimmy G to Sin City.
What about you, Ben? You're familiar with Jimmy Garoppolo. Where does he go?
Well, this is going to be on to some of my spiciness. Jimmy Garoppolo, I believe, will be in a quarterback competition with Mac Jones next year. And I think because Bill Belichick has liked Jimmy Garoppolo, they know Bill Belichick in the next couple of seasons – he likes guys from the past, and we've known that from the thing about it. And Lauro, do I see it actually physically happening? No, but could I see it happening? Of course I can. I think it's because Bailey Zappi, I think, could be kind of like the Jarrett Stidham situation where he could potentially get going to a place where traded on somewhere, maybe get a chance to be in competition somewhere else for like a lower type of a team. But I think Jimmy Garoppolo back to New England be, for system like they have there, bring a guy like Bill O'Brien.
Sorry to interrupt, man. If he does come back, I am not going to start him in my Madden league next year if Jimmy G is a Patriot. I want to stick with Mac Jones.
Yeah, I mean, even if Jimmy G came in, right, and he didn't get the job, we saw what Jimmy did last year with the 49ers. He was able to be a mentor, and I think that's something that Mac Jones needs outside of the coaching overhaul is potentially a guy that knows the system and would be a great mentor. And by any chance that Mac Jones ever went down, if he did win the job, then you have a guy that could replace right away in Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's one situation. I think the Raiders, Isaiah, would be a great one too, because I think McDaniels needs to win now, and I think that they shouldn't go, the other direction, kind of go younger. I think the Colts are really kind of open to really anything. I think the Colts could be a really interesting fit as well. And then think about this one. I think this one will kind of be off the rails now because Kenny Pickett, I think, is going to be there. There'll be the long term there. But don't be surprised about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then if some way somehow Tom Brady moves on from Tampa Bay. I know last year before Tom Brady came back, that Jimmy Garoppolo was potentially into play. Look out for the Buccaneers. Jimmy Garoppolo, to be honest, have an interesting market this season. But, yeah, one of my spicy hot take could be a quarterback competition back with the New England Patriots.
What about you, Steven? Where do you have Jimmy G going to?
First of all, amazing takes by Isaiah and Ben with the Patriots and the Raiders. I really like those picks. But I'm going to go with you, Lauro, on this. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a Seahawk next year. I think Geno Smith had his stretch of games to kind of prove himself as a potential franchise quarterback or at least a plug-in starter, and he didn't perform. He just, when the pressure cooker came and it was time to play himself into the playoffs when it mattered, he didn't perform up to par, and he did Geno Smith things. He regressed towards the mean, and I really sensed it, guys. I think by week week 10 to 11, and especially by week 12, I told my friends, listen, guys, I think the league has kind of figured out Geno Smith. Like his hot run has kind of ended. He's regressed towards the mean. And so I think Jimmy G to the Seahawks is naturally going to be a good destination. And even more so than with Zach Wilson, Jimmy G is a guy who has a lot of experience on sophisticated offenses, and the guy's a proven winner. Like he's won at every stage in the league, minus the Super Bowl. So he can win you games. Why not give this guy a chance? It's not the sexy choice. It's not the Tom Brady that everybody is so looking for and everything. But not everyone can land Tom Brady. Not everyone can even land Derek Carr. And Jimmy G is a guy who I think he's going to be cheaper this upcoming offseason than he was last offseason. He's going to be ready to prove himself, and he might not be afraid to kind of enter a quarterback competition situation this time, as opposed to this past offseason where he was looking to be the immediate starter. So I got him going over and battling it out for that quarterback spot in Seattle.
All right, guys, I'll tell you. Next up, we got.
But before you move on, one more team for the Jimmy Garoppolo I forgot to mention. Watch out for the Washington Commanders. I think the Washington Commanders could also be another fit for Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that'd be a really interesting fit there. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
All right, I'm going to talk about Ryan Tannehill. John Gruden likes to call him Tanny Hill, but Ryan Tannehill, do I think his days are numbered in Nashville? It's tough for me to say. He's out for the season. Malik Willis is getting a crack at it, but I do think Malik Willis needs time to learn. So I have him staying with the Tennessee Titans for now. And the reason why I say that is because I think the players really like him there. And he's not the type of quarterback I'm a fan of. Tannehill can manage a game, but that's about it. But I have Ryan Tannehill staying with the Tennessee Titans. What about you, Isaiah?
Sorry, I opened up a wrong tab over there. In terms of where Tannehill will go, I think that for the Titans, I believe that the Titans' collapse will come to a complete close on week 18 when they lose to the Jaguars, and I believe the Titans will miss the postseason. And I believe you're going to see a lot of changes in Tennessee. I don't think Mike Vrabel gets let go, but John Robinson has already been let go, their GM. And I believe you're going to see another quarterback in Tennessee. So having said that, I got Ryan Tannehill going to the Washington Commanders. I think that his days in Tennessee are numbered. In fact, I think he's played his last game as a Tennessee Titan. I don't think he's going to come back for week 18. He said he's going to try to come back, but, I mean, you had ankle surgery literally last week. There's no way you're going to come back in 2 weeks after ankle surgery and be, even close to 25%, let alone 100%. So I believe he's played his final game as a Tennessee Titan. I think the Titans want to move on from him. That's why they drafted Malik Willis. Malik Willis, however, has looked terrible as a starter with the Tennessee Titans. We'll see how he does with a full offseason to prepare, but the Commanders, they want a veteran quarterback. They've been looking for their franchise quarterback. They tried Carson Wentz. That didn't work out. They tried, Taylor Heineke. That hasn't worked out. They need a quarterback, a stable quarterback for the next 3-4 seasons. And Ryan Tannehill is a guy that's not going to lose you games, but he's not the guy that's going to, put your team on your back and win you football games. He's the kind of guy that I feel like a defensive-minded coach in Ron Rivera would really, really like. So give me the Commanders for Ryan Tannehill.
I wouldn't rule that out, too. What about you, Ben? Where do you have Ryan Tannehill going to?
I think that he's either going to stay with the Titans. Isaiah, I was going to say the Commanders, but watch out for the Carolina Panthers for Ryan Tannehill. I think that, it's basically a place. Ryan Tannehill doesn't seem like a guy to me where he's going to play in a big market type of a city. He played in Miami. He just played in Nashville. I feel like if anything, if he's going to go somewhere, I think it's going to go to a place where it's not going to be a high market I agree. He's a very systemized type quarterback. He's not going to win you games by just himself, but he's not going to lose you games either, where he's going to completely just fall apart like crazy, which he's had in the past. But typically, he's pretty overall steady. It comes to Andy Dalton. Steven, I don't know if I would even go Kirk Cousins, but he's going to kind of like in that tier in terms of quarterbacks where just kind of there. I'll probably he's going to stay in Tennessee. I think that his family likes it there. And but if he does move on, watch out for teams like Seattle or Tennessee or Washington. But teams like that.
Yeah, so we're going to go back to our comments here. And Isaiah typed this in. We got to pull that up. He says that Bailey Zappi should go to the Vikings and back up Kirk Cousins. Chardol.
We got Nick Mullins. We got our Bailey Zappi, basically. It's basically
Chardol says Brock Purdy will throw 500-plus yards, and he thinks the Niners will beat the Raiders by a score of 65 to 20.
Pull up Chardol's comment on Brock Purdy with 500-plus yards again. I actually think that could happen because have you seen that Raiders defense? It is awful. And they're going to be missing their top pass rusher or one of their top pass rushers in Chandler Jones. And they're going to be missing their middle linebacker who's their top tackler and Denzel Perriman for a defense that's already awful, missing their two best defensive players. Look out, man. Look out.
And then I'll go to Steven here. Where do you think Ryan Tannehill goes to?
You know, Ben, I will put him in that Kirk Cousins camp. I think he is a guy who, if he has the weapons in front of him, he can win you games. And, he could be consistent for you. And he is that kind of baseline level for a franchise quarterback. I think him, Kareem Cousins, and Jimmy G are all sort of in that camp. So I think he is a guy who's competent and can win in the NFL. And Isaiah, even if they do lose to the Jags, which you got to be careful not to be too cocky about because these rivalry games, whether who's hot or not, they're very unpredictable, man. And this is a team, when they had Malik Willis at quarterback, they brought the Kansas City Chiefs into overtime. So let's just relax a little bit on the Jags are going to beat the crap out of the Titans, and then all of a sudden the sky's falling in Tennessee. I think we need to, put everything into perspective and realize that, hey, this is a situation where, the Titans are probably going to be an 8-9 team at worst, maybe 9-8. I don't think the sky is falling in that stage, first of all. And then I think, secondly, Malik Willis is clearly not the answer. The guy couldn't complete a single pass or anything against the Chiefs for such a long stretch when they played them. And so this is a team that can remain competitive. They brought the Chiefs into overtime when Tannehill got hurt and they had to roll with Malik Willis. This is a team that has unfortunately succumbed to the other side of one-possession games this year, and that's the nature of the NFL sometimes. So I think that, that they have time to recover for this team, and they're going to keep rolling with Tannehill going forward.
Well, I'm going to go first here with my next quarterback here. We got Trey Lance. You know what? I have him staying with the Niners, and I think he's the quarterback of the Niners going forward. And I think the Niners moved up to get him for a reason, and I still think he has a future in the Bay Area. And I think that it's going to be renamed to the Trey area once he is healthy. Isaiah, I have Trey Lance staying with your San Francisco 49ers. Where do you have Trey Lance going to? You have him still being your quarterback going forward?
Well, you guys see this shirt that I have that I bought for $30+? Well, in April, I'm going to be doing this to this t-shirt. Goodbye. That's what I'm going to be doing to that t-shirt. Hello or goodbye to the Trey Lance era in San Francisco. Goodbye to the Jimmy G era in San Francisco. And hello to the Brock Purdy era in San Francisco. I've been telling y'all for the past couple weeks that this is the kid that Kyle Shanahan has been looking for the last several years. The Niner fans have been clamoring, oh, we want a better production from the quarterback position. Okay, they want a guy that can release the ball quickly like Jimmy G, that has great footwork like Jimmy G, that can has great vision like Jimmy G, but also have some of the stuff that Trey Lance does. The mobility, moving in and out of the pocket, scrambling. That's the prototypical Shanahan quarterback. That's the guy the Niners have been wanting, and Brock Purdy's kind of like a mold in between Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. He's got the mix of both of them in his arsenal. And I think that, if Purdy leads the Niners to the NFC Championship, if he leads the Niners to the Super Bowl, there's no way whatsoever that you could take the job away from Brock Purdy and give it back to someone else, because whoever does become the quarterback, if you do give that job and you take that job from Brock Purdy and you give it to them, that poor quarterback is going to have so much pressure that we've never seen before. And if let's say they throw an interception, they're going to get booed off the field, and it's going to be absolutely insane. So I got the Niners sticking with Purdy. For Trey Lance, this might be a shock to you guys. I actually got him traded, and I don't know how many times we're going to make a low roll leave the set tonight, but this might be one of them. I got Trey Lance getting traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the Buccaneers' late first-round pick, because Steven mentioned this earlier when he talked about the Bucs, that the Bucs are most likely going to lose Brady, that the Tampa Bay Bucs, they probably need a young quarterback. And Bruce Arians is, reportedly very high on Trey Lance, a guy that can sling the ball downfield, maybe not with accuracy, but still got a cannon of an arm. And Trey Lance, with development and with some time, I think he could be the perfect fit for that no risk it, no biscuit style of offense where they just constantly like to push the ball down the field. And I think that Trey Lance is honestly better for that type of an offense than he is for the Kyle Shanahan offense. So I got Trey Lance going to the Buccaneers.
What about you, Ben? Where do you have Trey Lance going to?
I'm going to go on a limb with this one, and I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I think Trey Lance is going to stay in San Francisco potentially, but if Brock Purdy, they like him as the guy, two places. The Houston Texans, I think Trey Lance could be a great fit for, because I know can know for a fact that he could start right away. But watch out for the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints, I feel like, could be also a place where he could be inside of a dome. He's a type of quarterback where he could throw it deep. We won't have to worry about as a home, stadium to have the elements there. I think that there could be two places right there to watch out for Trey Lance's suitors, is the Saints, and for the I was trying to remember what else I said before. No, I'll get back to it.
What about you, Steven? Where do you have Trey Lance going to?
Oh, the Texans. Sorry about that.
I think right now it's another thing where we talked about Brady, how there's a couple of variables that affect it. With Trey Lance, it's another variable that affects it. It really depends on where Brady goes. Like, is he going to go to the Niners? Probably not. How well will the Niners do in the postseason now that they're probably in? And then also, where does Jimmy G go? But I think looking at the outlook of the Niners and looking at the outlook of the league and the landscape and what the Niners gave up to get Lance, I don't think he's going anywhere, guys, because I think this is a league, like I told you, that is very harsh towards quarterbacks. One moment you could be the hero. Could Brock Purdy be the Nick Foles to lead them to the Super Bowl? I'm not completely ruling it out. I'm sure you guys aren't either. But, at the end of the day, like, how long is that Purdy streak going to last? Like, Kaepernick had one phenomenal year. Nick Foles had not one, but two really amazing years with the Philadelphia Eagles. One in 2013, and then later, many years later in 2017 to 18 when he won the Super Bowl. So you're always going to need a guy like Trey Lance to step in there, and even if he's not the starter at the time, to lead your team to wins. And this is a Niners team, like I told you, with any serviceable starter. And yes, I'm going to include Trey Lance in there. They can win football games. They can win football games with Jimmy G, Trey Lance, or Purdy. It doesn't necessarily matter for them who's at the helm. And so with that being said, I just don't think that the Niners, use this flyer that they have on Purdy and say, oh, we're definitely giving up on Lance. I think that's an illogical overreaction, and I think they might need Lance down the line if Purdy is figured out by the NFL or if he, God forbid, gets hurt by 1 or 2 hits out there.
All right. Next up, we talk about Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith stays in Seattle. I think he knows the offense there, and I think he could be a good backup for whoever is the Seahawks starting quarterback. What about you, Isaiah? Where do you think Geno Smith goes to?
I think he goes to the Colts. I think he's the perfect bridge quarterback for a young rookie quarterback that I think Indianapolis is going to draft with. Right now, they've got the 5th overall pick. They are in line to draft a C.J. Stroud or a Bryce Young or even a Will Levis. Though I think they are making a huge mistake because I think my guy Will Rogers should be in that conversation as a first-round pick, but that's a different story for a different day. But I think that what's it called? I think the Colts, when you look at the Colts, I think they are going to draft the quarterback with the 5th overall pick. It's a loaded draft in terms of quarterbacks. But I think that they're going to try to do the Niners mode where they're going to sit their highly drafted quarterback for a season, let him develop, let him learn the NFL system, and then either when the going gets bad next season, then put in the rookie quarterback towards the end of the season, or just have him just sit out that season and start the year after. So Geno Smith's the perfect quarterback. He makes mistakes, obviously, but he's a guy that is serviceable and can help you win some games. And let's face it, Indianapolis is not going to win the division anytime soon. They're not going to compete for championships anytime soon. They're not going to they're not going to be making a wild card anytime soon. They're a team that's probably going to be tanking for the next few years. And he's also a quarterback, Geno Smith, who could help you tank as well for the next several years.
What about you, Steven? Where does Geno Smith go to?
I think he stays in Seattle. Similarly, Jimmy G, he's an injury-prone quarterback. I'm sure Seattle will let him come in and battle it out for that starting job. But no guarantees that a guy like Garoppolo gets that spot. And there's no guarantees that Geno Smith would lose that spot to him. And then also health is always a concern with a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think that Geno stays in Seattle as a potential backup or starter option for them. And he knows the offense. So that's good.
Next up, guys, we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to go first here. I know where I'm going with this. I have Aaron Rodgers staying in Green Bay for another season because I saw an article today that Matt LaFleur was like, I want Aaron Rodgers to stay in 23. I like the guy. And I do think that Aaron Rodgers can still be good. I mean, Jordan Love will probably still learn under his wings, which I could see because I think that's who they want. But Aaron Rodgers had a bad year this year, but I could see Aaron Rodgers returning to his MVP form next season with Green Bay. What about you? Where do you think, Isaiah, Aaron Rodgers goes to? I think he stays in Lambeau.
This is the final quarterback we've got on our quarterback musical chairs game, and this is going to be one of my hottest predictions I've made in this show, probably second to the Brady one. I got the AFC East having 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks this or next season. I got Aaron Rodgers, guys, getting traded to the Miami Dolphins because the Miami Dolphins have a boatload of picks. The Miami Dolphins need a quarterback. We don't know what's going to happen with Tua. There's rumors that he may retire, and he's got 3 concussions already in one season. Mike McDaniel, remember, the Niners actually contacted the Packers before they drafted Trey Lance to try to get Aaron Rodgers. There's interest there. Aaron Rodgers is running the Kyle Shanahan offense, the one that Mike McDaniel runs in Miami. And, the Dolphins are built to win now. That's why they got Bradley Chubb. That's why they got, a lot of top players on their defense, their offense. They have Tyreek Hill. They got Mostert. They need a quarterback. And I think that Aaron Rodgers would be perfect for them. He goes to South Beach. His businesses would be able to thrive there. His personal life will be able to thrive there. His football life will be able to thrive there. And also for the Packers, it's a great situation because you move off the Aaron Rodgers salary and then you usher in the Jordan Love era, which, let's face it, fellas, Jordan Love has looked good this season in relief of Aaron Rodgers. I believe that the Green Bay Packers will beat the Vikings this week at Lambeau, but then lose the following week and miss the playoffs, sadly. They're not going to get any help. So I think that Rodgers, this is his final season in Green Bay, and I think he's headed for South Beach at the end of the year.
What about you, Steven? Where does Aaron Rodgers go to?
Well, there's rumors that they could have Aaron Rodgers go to Vegas or go to South Beach or go to the San Francisco 49ers. But I think at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself a question. Does Aaron Rodgers have the pull around the league that he does right now with the Packers? Will he have the type of influence that he has on the Packers if he goes to the Niners, if he goes to the Buccaneers, the Dolphins, or the Raiders? The answer to that is a resounding absolute no. On the Packers, he has a coach, he has a GM, he has a fan base that wants to keep him around. And even though I've wanted him to come to Minnesota before, Minnesota has clearly balled out with Kirk Cousins. So, Kirk is better than Aaron Rodgers right now, and I'm going to keep saying that. So I think he stays with Green Bay because the situations that are better for him, X's and O's wise, he simply won't have as much leverage on those teams. He's going to have to deal with more prima donnas. He's going to have to deal with more teams that aren't going to allow him to be the prima donna of the team. And he's going to have to learn a new offense. I think Aaron Rodgers, in his kind of older age and his older time with the league now, is really trying to preserve his legacy with the Packers and get that lifelong respect and money that he's getting at Lambeau Field. And I just think that there's no franchise out there in America that is going to give Aaron Rodgers the clout and the respect and the authority that he has on the Green Bay Packers. Not to mention the money.
Anyways, here that Ben commented, he says that his hot take is that Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay. Davante Adams comes home and asking out of Vegas after the events of Derek Carr. Adams essentially wanted to go to Vegas because of Derek Carr. So, and then he says, I know I kind of dig that idea, Isaiah. So anyways, here we have some headlines to get to, folks, as Jason La Canfora of CBS Sports is reported that Jets owner Woody Johnson and head coach Robert Saleh aren't getting along in the Big Apple, and the Jets collapse to end the season and missing the playoffs for another season could lead to drastic changes, such as Johnson demanding offensive coordinator and Mike LaFleur being fired, or firing Saleh and his entire coaching staff altogether. And I said it on audio, Isaiah. If Saleh gets fired, he's going to get scapegoated. I feel like that if he started Mike White, it would be to impress the front office. So what are your thoughts, Isaiah, on this? I hope Robert Saleh doesn't get fired, but if he does get fired, that will tell me he is scapegoated out of gangrene.
Laurel, let me ask you a quick question before I go. Who do you believe put this story out there to Jason La Canfora? I don't think it's Joe Douglas.
No, it's not Joe Douglas either.
Nope, because Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, I feel like, have a great relationship. So
they do.
Who do you believe put this story out there?
I have to think it's Christopher Johnson.
Try the other guy.
Woody Johnson.
Yes.
Because Woody Johnson, he loves making headlines, that's for sure.
Let me say this. I'm not surprised one bit, because when you look at the entire tenure of Woody Johnson as the owner of the Jets prior to him being an ambassador to Britain for the U.S., Woody Johnson has been quick trigger, quick trigger, quick trigger, quick trigger. This guy fired Todd Bowles because social media called for the firing of Todd Bowles. He fired Rex Ryan after, I believe, 1 or 2 bad seasons with the Jets. This was the guy that hired Adam Gase because Peyton Manning, big time Peyton Manning wanted.
It's not Woody Johnson didn't hire Adam Gase. It was Christopher Johnson.
Well, whatever. Anyways, Woody Johnson loves the home run. He loves to hit the home run. He loves that big shiny toy. So I'm not surprised whatsoever that this is coming out because I don't think that Mike LaFleur or Robert Saleh should be fired. In fact, I think Saleh's doing a great job with the Jets. The defense, which is Saleh's specialty, is ranked in the top 5 in the NFL. They're winning games because of their defense. Mike LaFleur is a very young, up-and-coming, offensive mind. He's going to be a head coach in the future. Any college team out there right now, I suggest you don't hire any more retreads. You go hire Mike LaFleur to be your head coach. This guy is going to be a very special head coach in the NFL or in college football. Once he gets his opportunity. The Jets are just missing a quarterback. That's all they're missing. If you put Jimmy Garoppolo, if you put Derek Carr on the Jets right now, I guarantee you the Jets are in the playoffs as a wild card team. I just think this is very unnecessary from Woody Johnson. He's like Jerry Jones. He wants the big name and he wants the attention. I would not be shocked if it happens because Woody Johnson is very quick trigger. He wants the big name, and there's one guy he's eyeing right now, and that is Sean Payton. And if he can get Sean Payton, this might be another John Gruden, Jack Del Rio situation where I didn't believe Del Rio should have gotten fired, but they got Gruden, a big-time head coach. Saleh does not deserve to get fired whatsoever. All he needs is a quarterback, but Sean Payton's available and Woody Johnson has a quick trigger, so I would not be shocked one bit if it happens. Saleh does not deserve to get fired. All he needs is a quarterback. That's it. All he needs is a quarterback, and the Jets would be winning.
What about you, Steven? What was your thoughts on that headline there that Woody Johnson made? Steven, you there?
I think he's using the restroom right now. I think he'll be back in a bit.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. Anyways, here, let's continue on with our program. Here is that
we can ask him in a bit.
That the Titans listed Derrick Henry as doubtful for Thursday Night Football versus the Cowboys among several key Titan starters who most likely will miss the game as Tennessee looks ahead to their Week 18 showdown against the Jaguars. Do I agree? Does anybody here agree or disagree with Mike Vrabel's decision to rest the starters for this week? I don't agree with it because you still got to play your starters here. Doesn't really matter if you want to save them for that big Week 18 game. You still have to see what you have in Derrick Henry. But that's a decision that I disagree with, even though I am a Mike Vrabel guy and I love the guy. Former Patriot player. I think he's done a great job with the Titans.
This is flat out disgraceful and it's disgusting. I know that their Week 17 game against the Cowboys basically doesn't mean anything because if the Titans win this week and the Jaguars lose, the Titans will be up one game, but they have that winner-take-all game Week 18 where if whoever wins that game basically wins the AFC South. So I get why he's saving his players for next week. But come on, man. I feel bad for all the fans that paid a lot of money thinking that they're going to see Ryan Tannehill, they're going to see the beast Derrick Henry, they're going to see, Travion Burks and all the top players that they thought they were going to see. I feel so bad for all the fans out there, man. You're ruining the integrity of the game by sitting all your players. For all the fans out there that paid lots of money to watch or to go watch the Titans versus Cowboys game, you know what they should do? They should sell all their tickets. They should boycott. They should have the Titans play in an empty stadium with no fans whatsoever, just to punish the Titans for that absolute disgraceful, disgusting move that they put, man. Like, I know the game doesn't mean anything, but come on, man. The fans want to see Derrick Henry. We don't want to see, the backups. We don't want to see a third stringer, man. We paid $150+ to go see Derrick Henry play. We didn't pay $150+ to, no offense, see Malik Willis play or see your third string running back play on the field, man. It's absolutely disgraceful, man. The Titans, they should be ashamed of themselves. And if I'm the fans, man, I'm selling my tickets or I'm burning my tickets at the parking lot at Nissan Stadium, and I'm not going to show up. Let them play in front of an empty stadium if they want to treat you like this.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's see if Steven is back here. Steven, I'm going to get your thoughts real quick on this article here on on Jason La Canfore's story on Robert Saleh. What was your thoughts on that story there? And also, what is your thought on Derrick Henry being listed as doubtful?
So for me, I am not surprised at all at kind of the shade that's been thrown at Saleh, given that the up and down year that the Jets have had. But my message to the Jets is and Saleh is I wouldn't be worried about this story because Saleh has brought the Jets to another level that they weren't at before without him. He's been the best coach since Rex Ryan, and I frankly think that he could be better than Rex Ryan when it's all said and done as a Jets head coach. Remember, Rex Ryan brought them to the AFC title game. So clearly done a lot for the Jets organization. So I think that he's going to remain the Jets head coach. It's all just false smoke and everything. We need to appreciate people for what they've done for their franchises and keep giving Saleh a chance, who is a defensive mastermind and done a great job defensively. He's got to find the right coordinator and quarterback, obviously. But it's a good situation that they're in. I think that they got to keep rolling with this guy who's likely to be better than Rex Ryan moving forward. So, and then the other thing about Mike Vrabel resting the starters, I don't know the whole AFC wildcard picture. I don't have it pulled up right here, right away.
Even
I think that they should.
I got it. Sorry to interrupt you, but I do have it for you. So basically is the Titans play the Cowboys this week. The Jaguars are playing the Texans. If the Titans win against the Cowboys and the Jaguars lose to the Texans, the Titans will be one game up. If the Jaguars win, Titans lose, Jags will be one game up. But basically, it comes down to that final game because it doesn't matter if you go in one game up or not, or you go in tied. The winner will win. The winner of that game will not only tie the person that won or be two up on that person that won the previous week. Plus, they would own the tiebreaker as well. So it basically comes down to week 18, that AFC South showdown. But I still think it's a disgraceful move because I feel for all the fans out there that paid $150+ for those tickets.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, that you got to consider is that games in the NFL these days end in ties more than we like to admit. So there's also that to consider, which is why I think that it's a little premature to just bench everyone because you could tie that last game with the Jags, and if you're one game up then and beat the Cowboys, then that's going to be an advantage. But I also think because they're going to head into this game as such a heavy underdog, even with their starters, it seems like the wise X's and O's move to go ahead and bench Derrick Henry with Ryan Tannehill already out and everything. So no big disagreements about this decision. I wish the best of luck to the Cowboys and the Jaguars and the Titans on the week. And obviously it's a tough call. It's a tough call whenever you have to let fans down in that regard. But I think it's probably the logical move here.
And then you were talking about Derrick Henry. Were you just giving your thoughts on Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I think like I said that it might be the right move to go ahead and bench Derrick Henry and rest the starters in this game so that you can compete fresh for the division the week after that.
Yeah, so Ben said Woody Johnson here because he nailed about why he wanted drama in New York, and then fantasy football championships are getting busted with Derrick Henry being out, and he said it's absolutely ridiculous. Next up, we go on to college football. I mean, I'm going to tell you guys this year. What I got for Christmas was I got an Alabama Crimson Tide hoodie and t-shirt and also pajama pants. But I also got, I wish I would wear it today, but I want to wear it whenever Michigan plays Ohio State in the college football playoff national championship game because I have the Michigan jacket and t-shirt and I want to wear it. I want Isaiah and I to team up together to wear our Michigan gear.
There.
Steven, I lost my train of thought. I want Isaiah and I to wear our Michigan gear together on one of these Sports Weekly shows so that we can team up on Steven if Michigan beats Ohio State in the college football playoff national championship game. I don't mean to spoil it, but I can't wait to tell you guys who I have going all the way to the college football playoff national championship game. Isaiah, I know you might jinx it here, but first we're going to talk about Georgia and Ohio State playing in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl.
Woo.
So this is going to be a fantastic game. Isaiah, I am sorry. I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm going first with my pick. I am sorry to say this to you, man. The Georgia Bulldogs are going to lose finally. I do not want to see them in the college football playoff national championship game because of what they did to my Alabama Crimson Tide last year in the college football playoff national championship game and how Kirby Smart finally knocked off Nick Saban's pedestal. In the end, I have great respect for Kirby Smart. He has done a great job with this Georgia Bulldogs football program. I know, Isaiah, you're going to rip me for this about why I am picking Ohio State to beat Georgia. I think it's going to be a overtime thriller in this bowl game. So I'm picking I'm picking Ohio State to beat Georgia. So I slipped with Georgia, but I just don't want Georgia going back to the national championship game and potentially repeating. If Georgia were in there, then I have to go for somebody else against the Georgia Bulldogs. So give me the Buckeyes to beat Georgia. And I think how they're going to win this game, CJ Stroud is going to get it done. I have the utmost faith in him to knock off college football's number one team. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Steven, put your camera on, my friend. Put your camera on. I've waited for this moment for 5 years. You know, I've waited for this game for 5 years. Me and Steven have been going back and forth, Georgia, Ohio State throughout the years, and we've never gotten this showdown. We've come close many, many times, but either Georgia doesn't get it done or Ohio State doesn't get it done, and it just spoils it. Well, now it is here. It is about 3 days away. And I can't wait. I cannot wait to punish that man in square number 2 for all the chirping that he's done through the last 5 years. Trust me, I've got receipts. I have receipts of all the stuff he said about how, Georgia is more inferior to Ohio State and this and that. Having said all that, Loro, I am going to go with glory, glory to Georgia. The Dogs are the best team in the nation. Glory, glory, glory to Georgia. We will pound OSU. Give me the Dogs, man. Give me the Georgia Bulldogs to not only beat Ohio State, but we will dismantle the Buckeyes. The Bulldogs dominate the Buckeyes in the trenches. It's going to come down to the trenches, and you guys the thing that not a lot of people know about CJ Stroud is he struggles under pressure. When that pocket is collapsing, man, he doesn't run. He just stands in the pocket like a statue. And I believe that Georgia's defensive line is going to just manhandle Ohio State's front. I think that the defense shuts them down early. I think Georgia gets off to a great start with a couple of touchdowns. And I think that, I think it's going to be, it's not going to be like a 6-point game or a 7-point game. I think it's more like the score is going to look pretty close. Like it's going to be more of like a 12, 14-point game. But Georgia's going to have control of it from start to finish. And I think it kind of reminds you of that Clemson-Alabama semifinal game where the score looked close. I mean, it was 24-7, but if you actually watch the game, Alabama dominated that from start to finish. So give me the dogs and give me and also I can't wait for the New Year's Day where I will have a gigantic poster of that score posted on my wall. It would be an amazing sight.
And Steven, I'm with you on I don't know if you're with me. I pick Ohio State to beat Georgia because you know where I'm going to go with this.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say to Isaiah, congrats on getting the dream matchup. You guys did it. You guys punched your way into the playoffs since day one. You showed weakness in only one game against Missouri, and you still won that game. I give the Bulldogs a lot of credit, but I'm going to preface everything by saying, Isaiah, your decade or your year or whatever you want to call it, the score is already settled, man. I beat you in the fantasy football matchup. We had our Ohio State-Michigan championship. It was me, the Buckeyes, against you, the Wolverines. And if I remember correctly, I beat you by 10 points when it mattered the most. Now, granted, you covered the 20-point spread that Yahoo Fantasy had set out for us. But, hey, don't act surprised, man. You knew it was coming. You knew that fantasy football title was coming, man. And I played conservative against you because I knew I could beat you by playing safe. I knew some way, somehow you would let us all down. The last thing I'll say about this game, guys, is that this might come as a surprise to you guys, but I'm going to pick against my own team, and I'm going to say the Bulldogs win 42-34. A couple of keys in this game, CJ Stroud being able to handle the pressure, CJ Stroud being able to, go ahead and win a big game, and then the Georgia Bulldogs defense being able to hold that high-flying Ohio State offense. Are they going to put up points? Absolutely. I got them putting up 34. But I think at the same time, Ohio State's game plan has to be to limit the big plays on offense for Georgia and not get gashed like they did against Michigan. And on the other side of things, be very efficient in the red zone. Be a bend but don't break team because this Georgia team is going to get yards. They're going to get passes in. They're going to get rushes. But I think Georgia is just on another level this year. They're a team that is going to continue to execute at a high level. And unfortunately, in this matchup, I got the Georgia Bulldogs winning and covering the spread. So give me the Bulldogs to win 42-34. They put up a lot of points, and so does Ohio State in a shootout. And then I've got Georgia over Michigan in the finals, and probably even more lopsided score over there, something like 41-27.
Laurel, I think we just witnessed a historic moment in the history of the MI6 and IM6 network. This guy, Stephen Wang, who said he would never, ever, ever, ever root for Georgia, who has told me in the past
I'm not rooting for them. I'm just picking them.
Hey, his happiest moment of his sports life was when Georgia lost to Alabama in that championship game. He actually
don't even remind me, Isaiah. Don't, because
this was
the saddest day of my life.
No, that was the game you won. We're talking about 2017 here. This guy said that.
What were you saying again?
The 2017 or 2018 college football championship game. That was
2017.
What were you saying again about the game I won?
The Alabama Georgia game. I was saying that that game right there was that man in square two's happiest moment of his life when Georgia lost on Tua Tagovailoa's 50-yard bomb to Devontae.
Yeah, to Devontae Smith. I remember that, but
and he goes for Georgia now. So I mean, how the tables have turned. I mean,
tape that for something, but Anyways, Isaiah, I'm picking Ohio State to beat your Bulldogs because I do not want to see Georgia in that national championship game again. That you had your moment last year. Time for a new champion. And you know where I'm going to go with it.
Well, before you go, Laura, let me just say this about to wrap up this segment is if Georgia loses, you will not see me, not for a week. You will not see me, not for a month. You're not going to see me on air on camera, on social media, whatever, for an entire year. Because that guy in square one and probably Ben will not let me hear the end of it whatsoever, not just for the entire year, but I might have to hide for 5 years. Just to escape those guys if Georgia ends up losing.
Guess where I'm going next here with my national championship game pick. I have Ohio State not upsetting Georgia. This should be an easy win for the Michigan Wolverines. I have them beating TCU. I think it'll be a blowout. And guess what, guys? I'm going to tell you who I have in my bracket for the college football playoff national championship game in LA. I have Jim Harbaugh versus Ryan Day, round 2, baby. And before you go here, Isaiah, let me tell you my winner of the college football playoff national championship game. Michigan beats Ohio State again. And Steven, see me right now.
Go ahead. Steven, you go first.
I got Michigan winning this game 38-27. This is going to come down to a couple of keys. TCU, like Ohio State didn't do, is going to need to limit the big plays on offense. And I see them successfully doing that in the first half. Probably going to be Michigan 20-17 in the first half. But they're going to start running away with this game in the second half once they start wearing out that TCU Horned Frogs defense and secondary and hitting those big plays and those big runs. So I got Michigan winning 38-27. I think TCU has a dynamic offense that'll put up points, but just not enough to beat Michigan or cover the spread. Now, before I move on to Isaiah's take on all of this, Lauro, Isaiah, am I missing something here? I mean, gosh, guys, did any of you guys go to Georgia or Michigan? Like, come on. Like, Lauro and Isaiah, you cannot be a Crimson Tide and Wolverines fan, and you can't be a Georgia Bulldogs and Wolverines fan. You guys didn't even go there. You can't like all the big teams in college football.
Look, Steven, I like Alabama because of Nick Saban. I like Michigan because Tom Brady went to that school, and I love Jim Harbaugh. And I think Jim Harbaugh is a fantastic coach, even though Isaiah and I both are different about if he returns to the NFL or not. I love where Jim Harbaugh is. He shouldn't be pursuing any NFL jobs at this point.
All right, that's fair enough. I mean, you can like the teams you like, but you know me, I'm just going to keep playing that or spoofing that Mean Girls meme. She doesn't even go here.
Yeah, so I have Ohio State and Michigan playing again and playing in the national championship game with Michigan winning. Steven, who's your pick for the national championship game?
I got the Michigan Wolverines beating TCU and the Bulldogs beating Ohio State. And then I have the Bulldogs beating Michigan in the rematch, 41-20.
Oh, no.
Who is this guy? Who is this guy?
Someone who's realistic.
Someone kidnapped the real Steven and put a fake interpreter in his body, man. Who is this guy?
And Isaiah, who do you have in your bracket for the national championship game?
I got I think Michigan and TCU is actually gonna be closer than a lot of people think. I think Michigan will control the game throughout, but I think it's gonna be high scoring. I don't believe in TCU. Max Duggan, I mean, that guy plays with so much heart and grit. Sonny Dykes, he should have never been fired by Cal. He's the guy that developed Jared Goff into a #1 pick. And they have an explosive offense, but their defense is not that good whatsoever. They're not that physical at all. Michigan's a very physical football team. They're like an NFL-style football team. I think Michigan, you're going to see a lot of great runs. You're going to see a lot of gaping holes for them to run through, and I think McCarthy really doesn't have to do much in that game for them to win. But I think Michigan controls it throughout. I think they blow out TCU early, but I think TCU scores like garbage time points, in the second quarter, third quarter, and the fourth quarter, just to try to keep up with Michigan. Just kind of like how Oklahoma did with Alabama a few years back, where it ended up being close, but it really wasn't. And I think that's going to be the case in this game. Give me Michigan to win this game. I'm going to go Michigan winning this game by a final score of like 49-31.
All right. And then we talk about Arkansas's epic 55-53 in triple overtime over the Jayhawks of Kansas in the Liberty Bowl. I mean, Arkansas is in my neck of the woods in the SEC, but you know what? This was a great win for the Razorbacks. For those who love the Arkansas, it's pigs. It's the call of the hogs right now. So, Isaiah, what was your take on this?
This was the game of the bowl season thus far. I mean, this game was back and forth, back and forth. Arkansas was up 31-7, I believe, at one point before the Jayhawks mounted a furious comeback, and they came back with, I believe, 15 points in the fourth quarter. Arkansas nearly choked this game away, but it got into overtime, and this is why we love college football overtime so much. It was Kansas. They were down 31-7. They stormed back, 18 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, 18-0, tie the ball game up with a creative 2-point play. Jalen Daniels, their quarterback. I mean, this guy, I honestly think he's going to be an NFL draft pick in a couple of seasons. And then the overtime 7-7, and then the second overtime 8-8, and then this is kind of why I don't like where the third overtime you just go for two. You don't even score touchdowns. You just go for two. It's like a 2-point shootout. I think that it would have been much better to instead of that being a 2-point shootout, just go like with regular football. And I think that the bowl committee and college football kind of just spoiled a lot of people out of what would have been an even better game. But kudos to Arkansas, the Kansas quarterback. He had the 2-point conversion. I mean, he was running towards the right side to try to get it. And if he runs it in, I think he powers his way in. But I don't know what he was doing. I think he got spooked because he saw there was a couple defenders coming towards him, but they were in the end zone still. And he fired the ball, and he fired it literally 9 rows into the stands, and that's basically how Arkansas won. So it was an amazing game of the year. I don't know what the Kansas quarterback or running back did at the very end. That was kind of a dumb decision. I think if he runs it in, we're tied. We're going to a fourth overtime, but congrats to both teams on an amazing show. Can you believe Kansas they won 6 games. They made a bowl game for the first time in a long time, considering they've been a laughingstock in college football for years. And how about the laughingstocks this season? Kansas doing what they're doing. New Mexico State under Jerry Kill. They get to another bowl game, and they actually win a bowl game, and they finish with a winning record. I mean, the laughingstocks are coming up, man. They are coming up for sure.
And what about you, Steven? What was your thoughts on this Arkansas thrilling win here?
Yeah, very, very interesting game. I saw a clip on kind of the highlight reels that in the end that Kansas was able to make a 15-point comeback at the end, which was quite amazing. 30 seconds, they came back from 15 down to send that game into overtime. It's unfortunate that they, couldn't complete the dream season and win a bowl game, but the season that they've had after consistent, 3-9 failure seasons or worse, you got to give all the credit in the world to that coaching staff and to everything that they've been about this season. I just feel very proud for that team to be able to fight the way they did, score over, not only 50 points, but 53 points in the game. You got to be really proud of the men there who played their heart out. And I understand the whole 2-point conversion rule after you get to like 3 or 4 overtimes because it was designed so that you wouldn't have another LSU and A&M. Of course, Auburn versus Alabama, that game, Lauro, didn't seem to go any shorter. Or the Illinois-Penn State game didn't seem to go any shorter last year with the new OT rules, but I understand why they did it. And overall, just a great game, great atmosphere. You're proud of these two teams for continuing to improve over the years. And I hope I get to see, a rematch for them because, hey, we got the Iowa-Kentucky rematch that happened just now. So I hope we get to see it again.
Absolutely. But now we move on to the NBA. Before we talk about the topics on there, the Los Angeles Lakers lost to the Miami Heat 98-112. However, they did take the first of the back-to-back by beating the Orlando Magic by the final of 129-110. So we'll have to talk about the Magic in just a little bit here. Isaiah, the Lakers split the back-to-back here, and then they're on to Atlanta on Friday. I mean, tonight's game for the Lakers, it was a bad loss. They were outplayed in the third quarter. The Lakers road trip is just not good so far.
The Lakers look like they just threw away tonight's game, to be honest. I watched it from start to finish, and it really just looked like they didn't care about tonight's game. I mean, they were very sloppy. They committed like 20-plus turnovers. They didn't defend the rim extremely well. Bam Adebayo was having his way in the paint with Thomas Bryant. LeBron was just playing careless basketball, shooting ill-advised threes. Reeves did not look the same. I mean, he had like 4 turnovers that you were just thinking like, who is that guy? So I just felt like the Lakers just didn't really care about the game, considering Miami's a really tough place to play, and they've always had troubles in Miami, but they won yesterday. They're now, I believe, only 3 games back of the play-in tournament. Plus, they have the Hawks, who have been struggling as of late, the Hornets coming up. And then, they have the Heat again, the Hawks, and then the Kings. So they have a pretty easy schedule, but it just seems like that, without Anthony Davis, they need more. They need to make a trade. We've been saying that for a long time, that they need to make a trade, because right now LeBron's doing everything he can. Reeves is doing everything. Westbrook's doing everything. Schroeder, Pat Bev, they're all doing everything they can, but they're just not that talented of a team. So they need another star, and the AD injury just did not help. And Anthony Davis needs to return soon for the Lakers to even have a shot at a play-in tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah, the Lakers, if they can't beat I'm afraid that, Isaiah, the Lakers might get swept by the Charlotte Hornets.
The Charlotte Hornets are not even that bad of a team. They have LaMelo Ball, who I've said before, he's going to be the face of he's going to be the face of the NBA in 6 years. This guy is an extremely talented player. The Golden State Warriors should be very sad that they didn't draft LaMelo Ball. There's a bunch of players, stars in the NBA, that I would take LaMelo Ball over. I would take LaMelo Ball over Karl Anthony Towns. I would take LaMelo Ball over you talk about, honestly, I would take LaMelo Ball over Julius Randle. I would take LaMelo Ball over Jimmy Butler as well. That's how good of a player LaMelo Ball is, and he's gonna keep being, and also Klay Thompson right now. So, the Hornets are not that bad of a team. I think that they just don't have the right coach, because with a LaMelo Ball-led team, you need to play a fast-paced style of offense, and right now they're so slow. They're running a lot of half-court sets, which it just doesn't make Melo really comfortable. I think that the hiring of Steve Clifford was a big mistake. I think they should have went with Mike D'Antoni.
Steve Clifford is familiar with Mitch Kupchak. Mitch Kupchak wanted Steve Clifford to come back to Charlotte.
I know he was, but I think that Mike D'Antoni would have been a better fit, because LaMelo Ball likes to run up and down the court, have a fast-paced offense. He's kind of like a modern-day Steve Nash, and I think he would have been a great fit for the Hornets. For Mike D'Antoni's system.
Yeah, I kind of think Clifford might be one and done in Charlotte. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so the Lakers coming up here, they take on the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks have been struggling. So the Lakers, I think January, Isaiah, I'm telling you right now, I think January is a make or break month.
I agree. And if this front office doesn't make a trade, man, we're not going to go anywhere. Like, we are honestly not going to do anything. I don't care about those 2 picks.
I need to start a petition with you, Isaiah,
Like I've
that
said
I'm at a point that I would want Rob Pelinka fired.
Oh, I've been wanting him fired for.
I've been so patient. I've been so patient with him. I mean, he brought us a championship, but at the same time, the last couple years, I have not been very impressed with him. And I'm at a point right now that I want to change in our basketball operations department.
I agree with you.
So that's where I'm at right now with Rob Pelinka. I'm grateful that I think the reason why he's the GM of the Lakers is because Kobe wanted him to be.
Yes.
That's why I want him out already. I'm at a point that I think it's his tenure as our general manager is done. And I want Jeannie Buss to do something about it.
Well, if he doesn't make a trade, then yeah, he definitely needs to be gone. But yeah, it's not looking too good, to be honest.
Well, Steven, I mean, I know Isaiah and I are resident Laker fans here on this panel. The Lakers split the back-to-back between the Heat and the Magic. They get Atlanta on Friday night. Steven, what are your thoughts so far on this Lakers season?
Only 3 back of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Well, Isaiah, I got news for you, unfortunately. This is going to be one of your bold takes that just aged poorly, unfortunately. You talk about heart and soul, and you talk about how the Timberwolves don't have it after they lost Patrick Beverley, or you take Beverley over Gobert. How about the Lakers, man? Where has their heart and soul been lately? It's been non-existent, man. And I'll tell you this, like, unfortunately, I don't see the Lakers finishing with a better record than the Timberwolves. Sorry, you can try and speak it into existence all you want. You can talk all the slander you want. But this is a worse basketball team than the Timberwolves, and they're worse than the Warriors, too. They just don't have any heart and soul out there. This Lakers team is done, man. They're just done. Are they even going to make the play-in tournament? I don't even think so at this point. They're not consistent enough. I'm sorry, Laurel and Isaiah. This is a Lakers team that's defeated, and we're not even into the new year yet. It's just absolutely
No,
abysmal,
we're not.
awful.
And I said January's our make or break month. I would have to see if I could see by February when we reach the All-Star break. I think the Lakers are probably going to be, they're not going to care at this point.
Yeah, it's really not looking good. I feel really bad for the Lakers and the situation that they're in. But at least they won a title off of it. I don't think they're going to come anywhere near another one. So that's pretty much it for the Lakers. We'll see what they do in January. I think they've already broken their season. I could be wrong, though.
Yeah, so anyways, here now, we gotta talk about Devin Booker. That's Isaiah's guy. He's going to miss at least the next 4 weeks with a left groin strain, which he suffered in the Suns' Christmas Day game against the Denver Nuggets. You know what? That is a big blow to the Phoenix Suns, because you have Chris Paul, you have DeAndre Ayton, you have Book, who I really think is the catalyst for the Suns. And I think Devin Booker is the centerpiece of this Phoenix Suns success. And I'm glad the injury happened now, because I think the reason why I say that, I don't want to see injuries and all that, guys. I think it's a thing like Phoenix is in the top 3, and you don't want to rush him back if you're playing this well, because I want to see you want Devin Booker healthy at the right time. You want him healthy for the stretch run. You want him healthy for the playoffs. But having an injury now is a good thing. What about you, Isaiah?
I'm extremely worried about the Suns. I don't think that they could be I think that when Booker comes back, I think that it's gonna be too far out for them to get a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. I think they're probably gonna finish 5 or 6 in the West. Because if you look at how Phoenix is playing right now, it's very concerning. And this is that was with Booker. I mean, there's so much fighting on the sidelines. I've seen so many videos of Booker and Ayton clashing, or Monty Williams and DeAndre Ayton going at it. They just don't have a lot of chemistry. And their defense, which was their specialty right now, the Phoenix Suns defense is ranked in the bottom tier of the NBA. And when you look at the Phoenix Suns right now, they just don't have the chemistry. Their offense is working fine, but when you are giving up 120 plus points a game, that is not going to do well in the NBA. So, and when you look at the Phoenix Suns next 4 weeks, I feel so bad for Devin Booker because, like you guys mentioned, Devin Booker is my guy. I believe right now he is a top 5 player in the NBA. Me and Steven have gone back and forth on that many times. But I mean, that brother is special, man. The stuff that he can do, it is special, man. And with him being out, man, this season has been an injury-prone season. This is Devin's second time that he's missed extended time. The groin injury, he had another injury before that. I think it was a hammy. But for Devin Booker, I feel bad for him. I hope he gets it back, in a speedy manner. But in terms of the Suns, I'm worried about them because when you look at their schedule
We're dealing with Isaiah here for a little bit here. I mean, he is frozen for the moment. Steven, if you can hear us, what was your thoughts on Devin Booker's groin injury?
Yeah, I can hear you guys, and I'm not frozen here, hopefully, but I think the Phoenix Suns right now, luckily they're a team that they're still they're still one of the odds-on favorites to win the West. I think both them and the Warriors are about 3-1 against the field. So still a promising sight to see for the Suns that they are a team that has all the resources to compete in the long run. Now, in the short term, losing Booker is a big blow, but right now we're barely at the end of December. I think that there's plenty of time for these teams that are the real contenders of the West, and the Suns, the Warriors, and God forbid if the Mavericks have anything go wrong. Fingers crossed they don't. But they have enough time to kind of get it right the ship, get some playing time for the rookies and the bench players that, in the end, that this could all be a blessing in disguise for the Suns. They're a team that's deep. They're going to get better on defense as the season goes along. They kind of remind me of the Celtics last year where they had a, pitiful start on defense, but got better and better as the season went on. They're kind of built like the Celtics where they have a very guard-dominant system and Devin Booker kind of leading the charge, and they tend to make these playoff runs at spurts and everything and have the roster to do everything. So I'm not worried about the Suns long-term. I think the main goal here is just get Devin Booker healthy and happy, and then go ahead and try to defend your positioning in the West in the playoffs. That's really what the move is right now. There's still so much season left to play.
There is. You're absolutely right. But next up here, guys, we talk about Orlando Magic center and former Laker, Mo Wagner, appeared to briefly get knocked out by a punch to the back of the head after starting a fight in the first half against the Pistons that led to 3 ejections Wednesday night, in a scene that triggered memories of an ugly brawl in Detroit 18 years ago. I remember that fight when I was a third grader, when Ron Artest was suspended for the remainder of that season. Oh, boy. Brings me memories here. Wagner was ejected for a flagrant foul, while Detroit's Killian Hayes and Hamidou Diallo were thrown out for their actions during the scuffle in front of the Pistons bench. I mean, the Lakers just played the Orlando Magic, and then the Orlando Magic took a trip out to Detroit. Isaiah, what was your thoughts on this?
My thoughts on it is that I think Killian Hayes needs to be suspended for 10 games at least for what he did. I watched the brawl Mo Wagner, what he did, that was egregious. The Pistons player, he was on a fast break, and I think he had already fouled him, right? He already fouled him, and then Wagner just pushes him, which I mean he shouldn't have done. But the thing about Mo Wagner is that he is a guy. He's kind of like a German Draymond Green. You know, he's a guy that's gonna get in your face, talk a bunch of trash, and he's gonna get under people's skin. And what he did was really stupid. He should have never had pushed the Pistons guard that was dribbling the ball because the play had already stopped. But Wagner, once he pushed him, his momentum carried him towards a Pistons player who just briefly just grabbed him and hung on to him for the time being. He wasn't doing anything. He was just standing there being bear hugged by a Pistons player because the guy was just trying to stop a potential fight. And then Killian Hayes with Wagner's let me show you guys, with Wagner's back turned towards the court and with Wagner just being hugged by that guy, his head facing the fans, Killian Hayes just comes out of nowhere and he just uses his right fist and just punches Wagner in the back of the head, which causes Wagner to just fall down and collapse. Like, dude, like that's BS, man. That's a bunch of garbage. What Killian Hayes did, man. If you're gonna punch a guy, man, punch a guy in the face when he's facing forward, man. Don't do a cheap shot like when he's just facing the fans, he's taking a breath, and you go and punch him in the back of the neck, in the head area. Like, that's absolutely pathetic, man. Killian Hayes, that was absolutely dirty, man. What Wagner did was wrong, but what Killian Hayes did was even more wrong than what Mo Wagner did. And I completely support the Magic players for coming to the defense of their teammate, because when a guy gets punched in the back of the head like Killian Hayes did, like if you look it up and if you would probably see it, it's even more dangerous because he's literally facing the crowd while getting bear hugged by a Pistons player. That's pathetic, man. You could badly injure the guy. You could, end his career with a bad punch in the back of the head. You could even kill him if you did that. So I think Killian Hayes, forget 10 games. I think he should be suspended for 15 to 20 games. That was absolutely pathetic.
What was your thoughts on this brawl, Steven?
Yeah, obviously emotions get heated during a limited contact sport. And, you commend Wagner for his toughness, for always handling these types of brawls on the court and everything. But, enough is enough sometimes. And it is a limited contact sport for a reason. And there's rules in all of these sports. And so I think the league made the right decision in issuing out the flagrant to Wagner. And I agree with Isaiah. What Hayes did was absolutely reprehensible, should not be tolerated in this league, but it happened and the league had to handle the outpouring of violence in a limited contact sport. But that's going to be it for me tonight, guys. It's been a pleasure hanging with y'all and picking up the Raiders as my second NFL team. I can't wait till Jarrett Stidham and the Raiders prove that every man in this league can play, and they upset the Niners by a field goal. I'm going to be heading to the Connecticut Yankee bar in San Francisco, which is actually a Celtics and Patriots bar, Laurel and Ben, if you're still sticking around, to watch the game. But on New Year's Day, my opening wish for 2023 is to make Isaiah and those San Francisco 49ers sweat against the Raiders backup unit.
Make sure you eat a lot of cheese, because that's what the Packers are going to be doing to your Vikings on Sunday.
I got the Packers winning that game. I got no problem. I got the Packers winning it. It's in a hostile environment, Lambeau Field. They really need the win. Aaron Rodgers has been clutch in these situations. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. Go Buckeyes.
All right. Anyways, here. Anyways, Isaiah, now we are moving on to our final segment of the night, which will be our MLB subject here. I know it has been a quiet off season for my Dodgers, and I was telling you I would have loved for my Dodgers to go after Gene Segura, but Gene Segura is somehow staying in the National League East, and he gets to join the Miami Marlins on a 2-year, $17 million contract to bolster that lineup. I'll give you my thoughts on this, Isaiah. I mean, Gene Segura, I wish he's a Dodger because he could hit leadoff. You can move Mookie Betts down to the 3 hole and all that. But you know what? I think the Marlins have found their new leadoff hitter in Gene Segura. You already going to move Jazz Chisholm to short, and then you have Segura leading off. What are your thoughts?
I love the move for the Marlins, but I don't understand the move for Segura's side. Let's start with the Marlins. You know, the Marlins needed help offensively badly. This was a team that ranked very low in terms of offensive output. You know, they did not have a lot of home runs. They didn't have a lot of power to their lineup. And I think Segura is a good start because I think the Marlins are trying to play, being that small market team, I think they're trying to play a lot of small ball. And Segura helps because he puts the ball in play all the time. And he's a guy that will not strike out a whole lot. So he's a great leadoff hitter. He's a great number 2 hitter. He's going to be great for them. And for the Marlins, like let's say your season does in fact go bad, you could trade him in the offseason, or you could, or at the deadline, or even at the offseason, get some prospects back for him. So I love the deal on Miami side. For Segura, though, I don't like the move because why do you sign with Miami? You know, like I know you're from the Dominican Republic. It's close to Miami, but you just came off a World Series berth, and you are going to a team that lost 100+ games last season. Like I don't understand the move on Segura's side. I think he should have went to the Dodgers. I think he should have went to New York, the Yankees, where I think would have been a good fit. But I just don't understand why he's going to the Marlins. I thought he would want to go to a place where he can win at, and the Marlins are nowhere near winning anytime soon.
Well, if you look at the Marlins, I mean, I do think, Isaiah, that Kim Ning is building a winning culture. I mean, you're building around Sandy Alcantara. Pablo Lopez, I think, is going to be good. I do think, Isaiah, that we will. I do think, Isaiah, that we will. I do think that. I do think that. I was saying that I do think that we will see the Marlins be better, but I think that the NL East still runs through the Braves and the Phillies and the Mets.
Yes, I agree. The NL East still runs through the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets. That's why if I'm Segura, he's a veteran. He wants to. He should be going to a winning team to try to compete. There's a lot of teams that need second basemen out there.
Or shortstop, but if you look at Segura, he can play shortstop. You know.
True, he can play shortstop. He's even played third before. I think one time when Alec Bohm was hurt, he played third. So he's a guy that you can move all over the diamond. He's a guy that is a great contact hitter. I'm surprised the Yankees didn't try to get him because they need that type of guy that would get on base, limit the strikeouts, that type of hitter. They need that type of guy in their lineup. That's why I was really shocked that New York didn't try to get him.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, here now, we have to talk about the Braves here. They got Sean Murphy. The Braves signed Sean Murphy to a 6-year, $73 million extension. If you talk about all the moves that Anthopoulos made with homegrown talent and extending contracts of free agents, Isaiah, that guy is a wizard.
Alex Anthopoulos is an absolute wizard, and it just makes me even more sick hearing the news yesterday about the Murphy extension. It just makes me more sick that that the A's made this trade, trading Murphy to the Braves for a bunch of guys that are going to be trash, are going to be nobodies in baseball. Like, I don't understand it. Like, 6 years, $72 million. That's it. That's all he gets. Are you, like, you paid Coco Crisp about 8 years ago a 4-year, $48 million extension. That's $12 million per year. How could you not give 6 years, $73 million to Sean Murphy? This guy could have been your face of your franchise. He could have been the guy that you built around. He could have been the guy that you open your new ballpark as the star of your team. Like, I don't understand. Like, Sean Murphy's young. He's a great catcher already. He's going to get even better. He's a great power hitter. Like, I don't understand why the A's were so damn cheap and couldn't even give him a 6-year, $73 million contract. It makes no sense whatsoever, man. Like, I get they signed Aledmys Diaz. They spent $21 million this season on free agents. You have the money, so why not, like, instead of getting Diaz, instead of getting Peterson, instead of getting, Trevor May, why don't you just put that towards an extension for Sean Murphy? It's absolutely ridiculous right now. This is exactly why I wanted David Forst and Billy Beane both to get let go, man. They just make boneheaded moves after boneheaded moves after boneheaded moves. I'm telling you, Laura, we need a new front office in Oakland. It should have been Scott Harris, but it's too bad he went to the Tigers. But it just sickens me, man. Like, you pay 3 guys $21 million.
Oakland A reunions, it's Sean Murphy and Matt Olson are together again.
Yep.
And then you also talk about in Toronto, Chris Bassett and Matt Chapman.
Yep, and the fact that the A's gave up these guys when they could have had one more great run, it just hurts, man. It really, 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 really just hurts.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. The Oakland A's, I still think this is a team that's going to be building up they're going to be stockpiling up draft picks for a long, long time now.
They will, and Ramon Laureano is going to be the next one to go. I can promise you that.
Yeah. Hey, Dodgers could use him.
They could, but I know there's other teams. Maybe I think the Yankees also are a team that's looking for some outfield help.
Yeah, I mean, Laureano is good, but I think that he could also move across the bay.
He could. I mean, but the Giants just got Conforto, so I don't think the Giants really have a big need for him right now.
Yeah, let's talk about, before we get to Rich Hill here, we got to talk about what is the holdup of Carlos Correa with the Mets. You know what? Even though that there's a holdup on the Correa contract with the Mets, I still think it gets done. What about you?
I'm 50-50. I don't know. I really don't know because it's been too quiet, and when it's quiet, it's never a good thing. I think that, honestly, Laurel, I have a bad feeling that he's going to end up a Dodger or he's going to end up a Yankee. I think that it's just going to be like a team that just swoops in out of nowhere, steals him for a short-term contract because the Mets are now having issues. The Giants had issues. I don't know. I'm scared right now. I think that it's 50-50 for me that it gets done.
Yeah, and the Dodgers already committed to Gavin Lux at short, so I don't think Correa's a Dodger.
Well, they're committing right now, but I mean, if Correa is available, if he really is, I could see Andrew Friedman just say, "Hey, what if we give you a short-term contract? 4 years, prove that you're healthy, and you just try to win another championship with us." So I could see that.
Oh man, Correa to the Dodgers could make the Dodgers really good, but. Anyways, here the Pirates, they signed Rich Hill to a 1-year, $8 million contract. The Pittsburgh Pirates are one of these teams that are cheap, but if you talk about the Brian Reynolds sweepstakes here, Isaiah,
Yep,
it's between the Yankees and my Dodgers for Brian Reynolds.
Well, my thoughts on the Rich Hill move is that it's kind of a head scratcher because the guy's 40+ years old. I don't know why he did it. I think he just went there for the money. And plus they're gonna give him a guaranteed starting spot because the Pirates don't have a lot of great pitchers, but the Pirates are not gonna win anytime soon. So I think that he's a guy that's a candidate if he pitches well to get traded at the deadline. In terms of Reynolds, it's tough. It really is. I think the Yankees are a team that could get him. This is a bold one, Laurel. Watch out for San Francisco. Farhan needs to do something big in the Bay. A lot of people are giving him heat now, so he needs to do something big to try to get the fan base back on his side. And why not bring Reynolds, who was a Giant? He was a Giant prospect before they traded him to Pittsburgh for Andrew McCutchen.
Yeah, that could be great. Brian, I said the Dodgers because the Dodgers have a lot. they have a ton of prospects that they can give up, but I don't think they're going to blow up their farm system if they make a trade for Brian Reynolds.
Well, I think that if you trade for Brian Reynolds, I think you're going to have to blow up your farm system because the Pirates want like a lot of high level prospects. So I don't believe that you would get Brian Reynolds with only giving up like medium prospects.
Because are you saying because Brian Reynolds' 21 season was good? Is that why the asking price is very high?
Yeah, plus he's got a lot of control on him still. So
yeah, I don't think the Dodgers do that. I think that the Dodgers give their young guys a chance because that's where we're heading. And Correa, I think I think Carlos Correa is going to be a Met.
We'll see what happens, but I'm still 50-50. I'm not really sure if that gets done or not.
Next up, we talk about Corey Kluber signs a 1-year deal for the Red Sox. You talk about come on, Chaim Bloom. He is awful for the Red Sox.
You know, honestly, I wish Ben didn't have to go to bed so early, and I wish he could have been on to give his thoughts on this. But I mean, oh my gosh, they replaced Nathan Eovaldi, who signed with the Rangers. We'll talk about later on in the show. But they signed Kluber to replace Eovaldi. I mean, the Red Sox are cheap. I never ever thought that I would say that, Laurel, that the Red Sox are cheap, but the Red Sox are cheap. This team, they didn't want to give Eovaldi, who's a little bit younger than Kluber, they didn't want to give him $17 million, so they pivoted and gave Kluber, a guy who has had elbow issues, shoulder issues, you name it, and a guy whose ERA last year was his ERA was 4.34 with the Rays, and it was not good whatsoever. You give him $13 million, like it makes no sense what the Red Sox are doing. You know, I think that Chaim Bloom just tried to make the fan base happy by trying to, you know, sign someone, but it's I don't understand that deal. I don't like that deal for the Red Sox. I think it's too much money for a guy that's old and he's, you know, has injury issues.
Yeah, he's had a lot of injury issues in recent years now. But we have to talk about the Rangers. They got Nathan Eovaldi, who I think is going to make the Rangers even better. And you talk about the Rangers gearing up for a playoff spot, which I think is going to happen, man. Because, you know, Isaiah, I love Boch. I think Boch is already been given a good roster, but do you think they need to add another bat in their lineup?
I think the Rangers are on their way to a playoff spot. They are making really good moves. I've loved what Chris Young is doing. DeGrom, if he stays healthy, that's a big if, but he's going to be the leader of that staff. Then you have a lot of these guys that give you depth in the rotation, but are quality pitchers. You know, Eovaldi's a quality pitcher. He has a championship level experience. John Gray, don't forget about him. You also have, you know, Andrew Heaney now, Martin Perez, Jake Odorizzi. You have, you know, replacements for guys just in case they get hurt. And I think that for the Rangers, don't forget about Dane Dunning as well, and also Taylor Hearn in the bullpen for the Rangers. The Rangers have a lot of depth now, which I like. It's good. It's good for them. They needed it. I think Eovaldi's a really solid addition for Texas, who needed pitching. And I really liked what the Rangers are doing in the starting rotation. I like what they're doing, what they did, you know, with the Seager-Simeon moves. Now they need to fix that bullpen. I think they should have gotten Kimbrough, to be honest. That was the guy that I think they should have gotten in Craig Kimbrough, because I think they needed a closer. But I think that bullpen is the other area that they really need to address. But the Rangers
have their closer is Jose Leclerc. I think he's a great closer.
I would have to disagree a little bit. I think Leclerc's decent. I don't think he's that bad. But when I look at the Rangers, don't they also have Joe Barlow as well? Who really?
Yeah, they have Joe Barlow. Andrew Heaney, who I think is going to be a good mid-tier guy. Talk about the Rangers pitching staff as a whole. You have Mike Maddox as your pitching coach, and I think he's going to it's going to be a drastic improvement for the Rangers pitching.
I do. I think he will help the young guys like Glenn Otto, Dane Dunning. I think he will help guys like Kobe Allard as well.
He's not with the team anymore. He's a Brave.
Oh, he's a Brave. Oh, never mind.
Or Spencer Howard.
Yeah, Spencer Howard. He's got a lot of talent. He would definitely help him. The Rangers have a lot of, pitchers. They have a lot of quality pitchers, and they have a lot of depth, which I really like. But watch out for the emergence of Glenn Otto. I watched this kid pitch when he was pitching at the Coliseum. He's a guy that, really did well as the first three innings, but then he really tailed off at the end. But I think when Mike Maddox's help, I think it will really help him.
Glenn Otto is a name to watch here. But talk about the Rangers when it comes to their lineup. You have Brad Miller. You know him from the Phillies. But a player to watch is Josh Jung, the 24-year-old from San Antonio, Texas. I really think he's going to be a special player for them.
Yeah, I didn't really get to see him play too much. I heard a lot about
Nathaniel Lowe, besides my guy Corey Seager and all that.
Nathaniel Lowe is really underrated. That's the guy. That's one of the guys that I really like. He's a guy that can hit for power, but he also can put the ball in play, and that's what you need nowadays to win.
But you also have to watch out for Adolis Garcia.
Yes, Adolis Garcia is a beast, but Lowe's really good. Jonah Heim is a guy that I've been really impressed by.
But Garver's now a DH. But what if they had Gary Sanchez? Because he's still a free agent. Why not?
They could. Why? Yeah, why not? But I think the Rangers need to focus on the outfield a little bit more. I think there's a lot of guys there that's not really too experienced, and I think they need some more experience in the. Don't they also have Nick Solak as well as
he's gone. So you still have Tavares, Brad Miller, and Garcia, but I do think that they should bring in another left-handed bat, but I do think that they should bring back Cole Calhoun.
He's a free agent, right?
Cole Calhoun's a free agent.
Yeah, he's solid. He's a really solid power hitter too. So that's another one that you could bring back.
Yeah, so the Texas Rangers, I'm excited about this team with Bruce Bochy. This is going to be a much better team, and it's not going to be the one like last year where John Daniels got scapegoated, Chris Young had to go. There was a lot of turmoil.
They're too much, to be honest, too much.
So anyways, here we have some announcements for you. We have the New Year's extravaganza coming on Saturday night. It's to be determined. I'm looking forward to that. I know, Isaiah, you're going to be at work for that.
Yeah, I know. Sadly, I'm going to be at work, so the only time I could probably hop on is towards in the middle of the show or towards the beginning if we start at 9:00, or if let's say we start at or end at 12:30, I could probably hop on maybe towards the end. But I mean, I'm kind of bummed that I have to work, but it's so crazy at the airport right now, and there's a lot of stuff going on.
Well, another trade we forgot to talk about is that Dalton Varsho is now a Toronto Blue Jay, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is now an Arizona Diamondback. Let me tell you, does this help them? But does this make the Diamondbacks go over the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants? No, but I think they'll slightly close the gap with this move.
I think you're gonna see Gurriel Jr. be unleashed in Arizona because that's gonna be his team now. He's gonna be the sole power hitter on that team. And I believe that with his power and at Chase Field, it's going to play really well.
Well, if you talk about the Blue Jays and why they traded Teoscar Hernandez and why they traded Gurriel, you know why? I have a feeling why.
Why is that?
They're saving their bucks to give Vladdy Jr. a historic contract, and I think they're going to pay Bo Bichette.
They have to. They have to. Those are the corner pieces for them.
That's why they made this trade. That's why I had a feeling why Teoscar Hernandez is traded. Although I like him and all that, but I do think the Blue Jays are going to give Vlad Guerrero a big extension.
I don't know right now. I think he's
I don't think the Blue Jays let him go by the time he reaches free agency. I do think Vladdy Jr. is going to get a contract like how Aaron Judge did with the Yankees.
I could see Vladdy Jr. leaving Toronto for like Boston or New York or Philly or any of those like big markets, or LA too.
No, I see him staying in Toronto. That's why the Blue Jays traded away Teoscar Hernandez and Lourdes Gurriel Jr.
I don't know. It's too far down the road for me.
Yeah, so my final thoughts is that it was a great show. Looking forward to the New Year's extravaganza. But another final thought I have for you, Isaiah, is are you excited about when we do the extra point the day after the national championship game and we do our coaching merry-go-round and who we predict who will be the next head coach for these vacant teams?
Yes, I am. I have a lot of bold predictions for that. I definitely am very excited for that.
I am. And what about the GM cycle about which teams will be needing new general managers?
I don't know if you're going to see a lot of GMs getting fired, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll probably just do more of the head coaching thing because GMs are probably there will be some GM firings. Like, I'll tell you, I don't think George Payton gets fired from the Broncos. He's done great things for that franchise.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
But I think Broncos, the new ownership of the Broncos wants a clean house.
Watch out for the Jets, just in case they do something stupid, too.
No, I don't want Joe Douglas getting fired. If he gets fired from the Jets, he gets scapegoated.
I could see a situation where like Sean Payton, like Woody Johnson wants Sean Payton. Sean Payton wants his own GM, so Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas are both out the door.
I wouldn't want that. Joe Douglas has done a great job with them. But anyways, for Isaiah, Loro signing off for now.
Before we end, Loro, I just want to give my final thoughts. My final thoughts is great show. So glad that we were able to give our, do this emergency sports weekly show. I know it was kind of like an emergency one. We're all technically on holiday break right now. But yeah, we're going to go back to the holiday break except for the extra point. But the New Year's extravaganza, I think it's going to be it's not going to be 6 hours this year. It's going to mostly likely be 3 to or 9 to 12 a.m. So we'll be on after the big playoff game. But it's going to be fun. I can't wait for it. And, I'm looking forward to Niners Raiders. I'm looking forward to, I have a lot of Christmas gifts coming, man. I'm looking forward to that, man. And it's going to be fun, man. I can't wait. It's going to be a fun start of 2023.
It's going to be a great start, but I also can't wait for when we talk about the World Baseball Classic,
which we'll do on Batter Up.
Yeah, the World Baseball Classic is coming up. So for Isaiah Loro signing off for now, have a great night, everyone. And here we leave you with this.
But I said, if you gave me Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, when you gave me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield.
I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them. What? Oh my God! Wow, man!
In any event, Kyle Gibson is definitely my NL Cy Young Award winner. Rock on, Giddy.
And even no way!